That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm,
Articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck that.
Ooh, terrible! Bad, not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay, decent, fair, great, I love this! Go,
This sucks.
Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card, the show where your stepsisters and yours secret is safe with us. Also, what else? Well, to stay safe, sometimes and avoid injury, you need to. There you go. If you want your Magic Johnson to smell like a beach, use the cocoa butter version of Vaseline. All right, there goes. That's our commercial for the day. We have no other obligations.
You remember seeing that commercial where the guy's like, reclining? He's got sunglasses on, but he's wearing like a business shirt, and you're like, "Oh, that's weird. He must have just got off the plane or something like that." And you hear all the birds chirping, the wind blowing, and it turns out that he's in his cubicle and he's got like all these like posters up of like a beach.
Oh, the places.
He's got a fan blowing and stuff. And he's just sitting there like light shining on his face.
Right, that's kind of like where you are.
He's the type of person that'd be using the cocoa butter just to make him feel like he's really there.
Well, I have to say it's pretty awesome that Brett Oppenheim let you borrow his jet.
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty nice.
It's spacious, and I dig it. It gets me to and from work pretty nicely.
Yeah.
But I don't understand the pink and blue color scheme going on here.
I don't know. Maybe the ladies like it.
It has a name. What is this? What is it called? This color scheme?
Well, shit. Are you asking me?
It's a new thing, I guess, but I can't think of what it's called now. Somebody in the chat might get it.
Okay. Well, while they work on it, I guess we may have pre-announced the fact that Pete and Tack were going to Austin before they even announced it. Sorry. I just wanted to thank Brett Oppenheim for the invite to Austin, and we're not going, obviously, for obvious reasons. But Pete and Tack will be there, and they will join us because we are, since they're not going to cover the show live, and Pete and Tack will jump on when appropriate. I think during halftime and after the game.
It's our Thursday show, right?
Yes, using the phone during the Austin matchup against Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe Brett Oppenheim too. We don't know. But it will be cool. Yes, we will cover the game live. We will be here for the whole game. And you'll get to hear us call the game. So you can actually just mute your TV and listen to what we say. Mm-hmm. So it will be live. We will be taking your comments and questions, your chats. So this is going to be a lot of fun. As I said, we'll have Pete and Tack jumping on intermittently, and maybe Brett. We're not the other Brett Oppenheim. We're just sad we couldn't go. Little more extra time to plan, and maybe we both could have made it out there. I would have driven, which is like 18-hour drive, and Brett was going to fly.
Yep. I would happily catch a red-eye flight just so I could, save a couple pennies.
Right, and I don't fly anymore. I'm done flying for the same reasons I don't go swimming in the sea. Right?
You're afraid of sharks, sky sharks?
No, I'm afraid.
Sharknado's going to come and get you, right?
Like, I know it's a 1 in a gazillion chance. Not even that. It's probably not even that great of me being eaten by a shark or crashing in a plane. But I've avoided both so far in my life, and I've flown a lot in my life. I feel like I'm rolling the die every time I get back on another plane. Right? So I'm going to avoid it.
Like the concept of I know the odds of winning the lottery, but I keep playing each week because I'm due for one.
Right? Maybe you will be.
Well,
but I don't want to be. That's a lot better than being due a plane wreck, right? And had I not flown so much early in my life for my various jobs, then I wouldn't probably. I'd still be flying. But I've also been in 2 near wrecks. Driving is more dangerous. I get it, but at least I'm driving. I'm not flying. I'm not allowed to fly the plane because I don't have a
Your-
plane license.
But your problem is though, the thing is in the plane you have a licensed person who's probably only had like 4 or 5 drinks so far flying. But what you don't have is you don't have an I-69 full of idiots driving next to you that's falling asleep at the wheel, that's drinking and driving. That's dangerous.
No, I get it, but
so-
the thing is about a car wreck. They happen quick, and if I die, it'll be hopefully fast. In a plane crash, you got to go down.
In a plane crash, you got to whip it out and see if you can finish before you land, right?
I don't know. Man. You don't,
as you complete, they actually land on a highway, and then everybody around you is like, "What the fuck, dude?"
yeah, right. You know, but so I'm done with that. I'm old. I don't want to fly in planes. They stress me out because of my near wrecks and accidents in the past on planes over New York City. I had one that dropped out of the sky for like I don't know, 45 seconds.
That's how they land, dude.
No, this wasn't supposed to happen. It hit a pocket, right?
Yeah.
We were leaving, not coming. We were leaving, and it dropped out of the sky. And everybody on the plane thought they were.
Didn't they make a movie about that? They landed in the Hudson. You're fine.
No. It was actually not during the winter, so it would have been.
It's actually okay if you crash into the Hudson because you're just landing on top of all the other planes from years past. So now it's like a little runway inside the Hudson.
I don't even know where you're getting this creativity right now. All right. Speaking of,
you don't really.
Oh, okay. You must be well along already. Then.
No, this is my first.
Okay. So, speaking of sharks, one of the things I did watch this week, yesterday, actually.
Oh yeah, it's go. Yeah, you're fine. We'll do this.
I'll read this afterwards.
Yeah.
So, it was about that Russian guy, Vladimir Popov, and he was out swimming.
Not a big fan of his vodka.
That's funny because look at this empty bottle I have here.
Yep. I make the joke because I'll buy whatever cheap shit's available when it comes to vodka because I'm just mixing hilarious. It. I'm just mixing it, whatever.
Yeah, me too. I spend my money on really good beer, not on vodka. All right, so I will open the Lafay in a second. But anyhow, it's this breakdown video somebody did of the footage of him being eaten alive by a tiger shark. And it's just haunting. It's so fucking haunting. Like it rips off half his face. Like the footage is all there, and this guy breaks it down and gets all the close-ups. And he did a really good job, explaining that the tiger shark was pregnant, so it was protecting its area because it's about to give birth. But anyhow, they caught the tiger shark and they beat it to death on the beach later. But at least he did a really good job because there was another video covering the same fucking thing. Oh, Judgmental Deity saw the video. It is crazy, dude. The way this guy breaks it down, he zooms in so you can see the shark circling, then attacking, then coming back. Makes me never want to get in the water again. Then this other moron does the fucking same thing.
Carries a GoPro inside the shark with him.
No, he didn't have a GoPro. This is taken from a distance from the beach.
Oh, okay.
So this other guy makes the same video. He doesn't pay any attention, doesn't do any of the detailed work that this guy does. And then on the slide for the show, he puts on a fucking white shark as the shark. He did absolutely zero research. Tiger shark and white sharks, totally different animals. It's like if I made a video about Rottweilers and I used a German Shepherd in the fucking slide for the show. It's like, this guy just made the video. This other guy.
Both sharks have temperaments, and both dogs have temperaments. So
different. They're different animals, different beasts. Anyhow, that guy, obviously, the second guy did his video for hits and Glee, so he's using the death of somebody to make money, while the other guy did it because he's doing in-depth research on shark attacks and how they happen, and he's studying how sharks attack. So that's the difference between the two. And it just, you got to know the difference between people trying to make a buck on YouTube and the people who are doing it because they really are passionate about something. All right. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
There we go.
The turd in the background says, "Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Another month, another roster release, another stream where I'm struggling with something to say. bad news. My wife has been a blow up doll this whole time. Mine too.
I think I think it's more telling that your wife's been a blow up doll the whole time, and you're talking about how active it is.
There's really no point in
I
getting.
mean, are you driving this blow up doll all those places?
And really, at this point, I don't know if you've seen that news article about this guy who married his sex doll. But these sex dolls today are so fucking realistic. He actually took the sex doll to lunch with his mother, and his mother was okay with it.
Whatever makes him happy, Derek. You know what? No, I was going to make a divorce joke there.
That's okay. You can make divorce jokes.
I was going to say the sex doll doesn't take him for half his money.
Yeah, you got to have a good prenup. Good prenup. All right, Lane Kiffin.
Weird having the sex doll sign it too. So
yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. There's a guy, and I don't know, I can't remember his name by any means, but he's actually well known on YouTube. Not popular by any means, but he's well known in circles. And he's got like a harem of sex dolls, if you will.
Oh yeah.
Now, mind you, he claims he does not partake with any of the sex dolls, but he does an annual cleaning. He pops out their eyeballs, cleans those things off.
What the fuck? Why does he have them? He's lying about not fucking them.
Of course he is.
He's lying.
I would imagine you have to be at that point.
Yeah.
You're clearly not bringing any ladies home with those. So, yeah.
I mean, unless you got a good storage space where you can hide them.
That would be creepy as shit. I'm just going to go in the back room and get ready. And then she was opening doors. What the fuck?
Well, you could put it back in the box, right? If you kept the box. You got to have a better plan.
Then she's gonna pull the 7 quote, right? What's in the box?
You have not thought about this at all, have you? You put them in storage; they'll never know. All right. Anyhow,
that seems like a lot of work.
I'm sure it is. I don't know. I'm acting like I've had a harem of fucking
sex dolls.
But I tell you what, if I did, I'd had a plan. All right, and plus, I have no interest in bringing women over to my house.
It's like I've got a garage in my place, so.
Well, I mean, you'd have to work that out with Evie because she's going to wonder why all these giant boxes are stacking up in there. Yeah. Right. So but you two are.
She doesn't go in the garage. It's okay.
You two are into weird shit anyhow, so you might, share the doll. All right, Lane Kiffin for $5. Thank you, brother. We do appreciate it, and we will be getting to soccer today quickly because we've got a lot to cover. Lane Kiffin for $5. Sweet, gonna let the team knock off practice so we can catch the stream. Well, I hope it's not a youth league team. We do curse on the show. Oh, you mean your football team?
Of course.
Well, they should all be old enough, I think. So that's an awesome idea, Lane. So that will add to our viewership. Yeah. All right, AJ 1410 for $1.99. Soto is better than Ferreira. I think Luna should have been over Brendan Aaronson at left wing. I don't think Luna's quite there yet. He's still battling on a day-to-day basis or a game-to-game basis for consistency, but he has a high ceiling, and there are rumors he's going to Europe soon. So we'll see.
You were describing at the very beginning of all that. You were basically describing Aaronson. He's still battling for consistency on the pitch.
He's just flat out sucked. Can we be honest?
Then all of a sudden you're like, he's got a high ceiling. You're like, oh. Shit.
But Luna has a higher ceiling, I think. At this point, I think we've seen Aaronson's ceiling. That is Brendan. I don't think we've seen Paxton's yet.
I think if Brendan gets his confidence back, he'll be a very serviceable option. Not a starter, but he'll be serviceable.
And funny because Gregg mentioned that in his interview today.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. And he's like, I think he should be over BA. I'm like, Gregg's not getting rid of BA.
No, not yet. I mean, Brendan Aaronson's going to have to stink it up longer than this. He's going to have to continue to stink it up. He's going to have to go back to Leeds, let's say in the championship next season, and stink it up some more before he loses his spot, I think. Or somebody else is going to have to really step up. Let's say Paredes starts killing it. Weah's healthy and Pulisic's healthy. Yeah, then he's fighting for a spot because there aren't many spots left. especially if Zendejas gets off this, I can't play for the national team, or I have to be a hero for the national team, which Zendejas knows he does not have to. And nobody beat Zendejas up more than Zendejas for his play in the
That's a
Gold
good sign.
Cup.
But that's a good sign, though, right? You have
Yes.
a player that's actually getting down, like, dude, I fucking sucked it up.
Right.
But being on the A team might actually benefit him because he doesn't have to be the star.
No, he doesn't. He knows that. He thought he had to be the star for the Gold Cup team, and it cost him because he tried too hard and he dribbled too long and he tried to do things that were unnecessary through 3 or 4 players at once. That's just not going to work. So he realized that, and anybody that knows Zendejas knows that he beat himself up pretty bad for that performance. So I haven't heard that about Aaronson. But the fact that Gregg brought up the fact that Aaronson, has struggled lately means that he's talked to Aaronson about that, Brendan, about his struggles. So,
I guess while we're talking about Brendan, because obviously the big point, a big topic of him moving forward from here for the second half of the window or second half of the season is that Union aren't going to exercise any buyout clause.
Hell no.
And he's gonna be back at Leeds. Now, what do you think Leeds are going to do with him?
They'll probably loan him out again if they're still in championship, because I think he has the clause in his contract but then who's going to want him? If he has a horrible season at Leeds, then he goes to Union Berlin and he continues to have a horrible season. Who's going to want him next time on loan? Another championship team, maybe? But that's about it.
My thought process is if Leeds gets promoted, Aaronson goes back to Leeds. What's Leeds going to do?
Sell him.
They can't sell him because he's going to be worth shit. Nobody's going to pay any money for him. He had 2 failed seasons, more or less. He had some decent performances here and there, type of thing. But overall, they're arguably two terrible seasons. And they paid what, like 20 some odd mil?
A lot.
So they're either going to eat a lot of that loss and sell them on the cheap, or they loan him back out, like you said, to a lower division somewhere, or they keep him as a solid backup.
Or
and
they
I say solid backup because that means that Leeds does not have in great depth, if you will.
Well, they're going to work on that if they get promoted.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Will, sure, that's going to happen.
They'll add 3 or 4 players. They will. Leeds will do that.
But the thing is, though, when they win the championship, they lost 3 or 4 players, so they're going to be in the same boat.
What do you mean they're going to lose 3 or 4 players?
No, they already lost 3 or 4 players when they went to the championship.
Yeah,
so they're going to get 3 or 4 more players. That's just bringing them back up to the same level.
Well, maybe. I know there are 3 players they have on loan, right? No, is it 2? Because it's Aaronson, it's the Dutch kid. There are more than that, but they will have to transform the team. And I don't listen. We'll see. We'll see if Aaronson can somehow pull this shit together. It was outrageous. I don't remember the exact number, and I don't have transfer market open right now.
Judgmental says it was 35 or something outrageous. BMR said 38. We're talking about, I guess at that point, we're talking about the difference between euros and bucks, if you will.
And I mean, the Leeds fans know that. That's why they're like, we paid all that for that. At least they spent ridiculous money for Reuter, and he's there contributing in their march back to EPL, whereas Brendan Aaronson abandoned ship.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things. Like if he had stayed, where would he be in this situation? He'd probably still be getting played.
Oh yeah, he would.
Whether or not he would have been succeeding is up in the air. That's anybody's guess.
Well, he would have had to put on his big boy boots because
pull up those pants and everything. Yeah,
because it's rough. It's rough in the Champions League. All right, what else you got?
There goes. Since we're just finishing that up right here. So those two are out. Plus Cox's out of contract. I thought Cox went out on loan too.
He did. He's in Germany as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who does he play for? God, I can't remember who I feel like I should know this.
I don't know. I thought it was something like Wolfsburg or something like that. Frankfurt.
Right. He's teammates with Paxten.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Yeah.
No, we made the joke when he moved over there. It's like, hey, I played with your brother.
Yeah.
I played with the other Aaronson bro.
Both Aaronson brothers have met cock. All right.
I guess speaking of cock,
Mm-hmm.
this is the only fluff I got for you, Derek.
Why does every band from the 2000s have a guy that looks like this? No one in our band looked like that. No one in our band.
Yeah, but
looked like that.
you guys were formed before the 2000s.
That's true. We were formed around 1998, 1997.
This is in reference to like the Limp Bizkits, the Smash Mouth, especially Smash Mouth. That's literally Smash Mouth right there.
Shit bands. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, from the late 90s to early 2000 range. Yeah, everybody had.
But indie rock was still alive and well right on through, like, say, 2007, right? And it kind of, that's when it didn't really die off right away, because you still had bands like Interpol and the other New York City guys that wore all black. The Strokes were still kept it breathing for a while. So, but yeah, it eventually kind of faded into the backgrounds, unfortunately. I mean, It's still out there, guys still putting out albums and touring, but it's just not quite how big and massive it was during the late 90s and the early 2000s. For about 10 years, it was the shindizzle, right? And then you had all these crappy bands that used to dress like that photo or that drawing come and sort of wipe away all the good work we did, right? That's what happened.
Like words that never existed. Shindizzle. Let's see it. No,
Shindizzle.
Not a real word, huh?
Shindizzle.
Not even slang. You don't even get the opportunity to claim it's slang because it's not even an Urban Dictionary, so it's not a real thing.
I just thought I'd cut out a cuss word there. One less cuss word.
I feel like we may have farted that up already.
Well, I know we did. We do every show right before it starts because Greg tells us to go fuck ourselves.
That's true.
In the first 30 seconds, we've already screwed ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is why
we don't monetize.
We do not monetize. So,
and it's difficult not to curse when you're so used to cursing.
It is for us, which is weird since we did all our big soccer shows with no curse words.
We did a lot of our early shows
years.
for this before we did live shows here. We did all of ours with limited cursing, like for like the first so many minutes or so, and then we would find. And you know what? YouTube gladly pushed us along and said, "Hey guys, maybe you want to. This is recommended to you. Maybe you want to watch this."
Right. Watch your
and then all of a sudden they changed their algorithm. They want to go pro kid for some odd reason.
Which kids don't watch this show.
Well, I hope not. At least not for the first 23 minutes. We had one fluff piece today, man.
That's it. That's all we're gonna get.
That's
all right. What else we got? What's the next topic? Let's move on.
I want to branch out from our normal topics and talk about the USL.
Oh, okay.
We don't really talk about USL that often.
Well, it's because we only care about Indy 11, and that's it. And they're out. They're out already. They got smashed in the playoffs. Absolutely torched.
Again, my knowledge on Indy 11 at this point is pretty limited too, because I've again broadened my horizons for all the Americans playing abroad, and watching second division right now is it's hard to get to, quite frankly.
It is. I admit.
So, speaking of lower divisions, how's our Scottish team doing?
I just got an email from them. I haven't read it yet. Let me see what it says. It says in the. Let me see here.
You've been refunded your paltry money for your couple shares. We don't need it. Thanks.
I didn't even read the title. I should have read it. Of course, no, I can't fucking find it. Oh, reminder, please confirm your Caledonian Braves FC investment. Oh shit, I guess I have to read that one and respond to that. But yes, we are part owners, investors of the Caledonian Braves in the Scottish 4th, 5th?
I want to say
4th, I think.
I was going to say 5th. Maybe they just got.
No, I think it just went up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so we're
BMR goes, it says they're folding.
Probably. We just
no.
flushed a few $100s down the toilet. All right.
Yeah, the owners of that team are happily walking away with their $3,000 or $4,000 they made.
Yeah. Shut it down.
I could get beer for maybe a month or so.
Yeah, that's for you. Yes. All right, what do we got?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so on to USL. USL just pinned a new TV sponsor or TV deal. Hold on, let me zoom up on this. Breaking: CBS Sports has acquired the media rights for USL through 2027. Deal includes 100 USL matches annually. Coverage will be aired across CBS Television, which is the cable channel. If you will. Paramount Plus, which is probably going to be the bulk of them. CBS Sports Network. Is that also a cable channel, a premium channel?
It is, but it doesn't come with the sports package for Xfinity.
Fascinating. And then CBS Sports Golazo Network.
Okay, well, that sounds great.
And the good news is they're branching out. Although, I mean, ESPN Plus, I feel personally, is the best way to expand your viewership because everybody has that shit.
Yeah, but it's Paramount's. It's getting up there, so it'll be on Paramount Plus, and so
I'm hoping that's where. Well, I say hoping that's where the bulk of them are, but
it will be. Now the thing is, ESPN, unlike CBS has made some sort of commitment to actually promote the league, whereas ESPN does diddly poo.
Does shit.
Yep, nothing. Exactly. They pretend that league doesn't exist. All they do is have the games on ESPN Plus
or USA. No, that's Peacock. Never mind.
Yep. So there you go.
I love how NBC has the EPL and they really only show games on USA.
Yeah, they don't do any on it. I thought there were a couple on NBC this year on the main NBC channel. Yeah.
Maybe some of the bigger ones.
But you're right. Most of it's on USA Network. I don't watch it on USA anyhow.
I don't know what games. Maybe Fulham's on USA at this point because I don't know what games are broadcast on US or sorry.
Peacock.
Peacock.
All of them.
Yeah, it's
all of them are on
visual coverage.
All of them are on
Leeds going down. Who's showing on broadcast at this point?
My parents still watch the EPL on TV, USA Network. So when I'm there on the weekends, we usually watch a game in the morning. If I'm there on Sundays, the game's usually still going on after my mom. A game is get back from golf. So we watch it there. So, yeah. And then we watch the F1 race. All right. What else we got? This is like almost not even worth mentioning, is it? But Alexi Lawless has
no, but it leads into this. If I didn't bring it up to begin with, this wouldn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, and I would have had to sit here and explain to you, like, oh yeah, CBS got the rights to USL.
So somebody asked Alexi, what do you think about CBS obtaining rights to USL and even broadcasting a few games nationally on CBS? I just said this. So Lexi and I agree. Think it's great value for USL to be associated with a broadcast platform that obviously is committed to soccer. It gives the league a higher profile and more exposure, which can help with credibility. Would be interesting to know what was paid. We probably aren't going to know that anytime soon. I could find out for everybody if anybody's interested. No one's interested, so we can move on to the next topic.
Well, when you say that you could find out, you mean I can find out within a couple of shows and get back to you on this. But again,
right.
You're right.
No one
cares. I don't know how many of the people in the chat or even watch our show that absolutely watch a USL team consistently.
Well, there you go. So let's
imagine most of them probably are all MLS fans, if not European.
Yep. So let's move on from this topic before we lose about 50 people from the show.
You can't lose 50 people. That's impossible.
They're like, you keep talking about
what is the driest topic we can come up with there? Come on, think about it. Let's go.
USL.
Dry? Is that really the driest?
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. All right. Nope. I got you beat one more over, Derek.
Oh, Jesus. $60 million. I mean, it's not a lot of money in today's world, honestly. But for broadcast fees, huge day for women's pro sports, which is on a rocket ship. The new broadcast tilts with CBS, ESPN, Amazon Prime Video, and ION are official. How many fucking
What the fuck does that
channels?
mean?
How many fucking channels are carrying NWSL? And what about the other women's league? That's also Division One.
Wasn't it always on Paramount Plus?
I have no clue, Brett. I have zero time to watch a women's soccer game. Absolutely fucking zero time.
You don't want to go out. Oh, that's not NWSL. Never mind. I was going to say the Indy 11 women's team, but that's USL women.
Shit, we don't even support the men's team anymore. How are we going to go support the women's team, Brett? It's ridiculous. Anyhow, I wish them the best, but all I can say is I don't watch it, and I
guess nothing really changes. They just pinned a new deal with CBS because I'm pretty positive they were on Paramount the entire time.
And I'm glad Max is excited about that because I think he may have to cover some of that stuff.
Well, I mean, it is good in the sense that that's making the league a little more stable. But I guess how long does that $60 million go for?
That's not stretching a whole lot.
I mean,
$60 million is small.
If we're talking about 6 years, that's $10 million a year.
Are you trying to kill this show?
No, we're only putting Chris to sleep. Come on.
Yeah, USL and then NWSL in a row. Seriously?
Hey, be happy that the lower leagues are getting broadcasted.
Yeah, hold on. Let me grab my lube.
You already have it next to you, Derek.
No, I put it away. Here it is. All right, I'm ready.
Put it away.
Any other topics of this so I can get all lubed up for? Next.
Well, no, Derek, yeah, you might as well keep the lube out because
transfer news. Everybody loves that transfer news, but me.
I didn't give you a chance. I know.
No, you didn't. All right, my other favorite fucking topic. Wow, 3 in a row.
It's short-lived, though.
All right, Wolfsburg are interested in future free agent Miles Robinson. Sure they are.
But I guess
not really.
And more or less the exact answer or response from you I expected there.
Not really.
If Wolfsburg comes out a knocking and PSV come out a knocking, where would you say?
I'm going to PSV because I'm going to play.
There you go. That's exactly
I
what
go to Wolfsburg. It's flipping a coin. It's a 50-50 shot. You may not play.
I would say if that, but yeah.
At least Wolfsburg.
I'd say the odds are probably not nearly in your favor as compared to PSV.
Wolfsburg has shown a propensity to play at least one American player, and prior to that, another one named John Brooks. But, Miles Robinson is not good with both feet. He is a speed merchant. I don't know how he's going to work out in Germany. I know he'll be just fine. He'll be one of the better defenders in Holland. But in Germany, I don't know. Miles has not impressed me, either in this MLS playoffs, which I have watched all the Atlanta games so far. He just seems like a reliable MLS fucking center back. He's not blowing my dick off. So, all right. I mean, honestly, we want to talk about this roster. Trusty's the one that got fucking reamed in the ass when they put Miles Robinson on it.
So I think, yeah. Well, I mean, again, much like the BA conversation we had earlier, Robinson's not going anywhere. He's got to play himself off the roster at this point.
Right.
I think from Gold Cup through all the way through his torn ACL, I think he was an adequate center back option that offered pace to cover for the high press.
Right.
I don't think he was the best player in the world.
Nope.
And he definitely had his flubs, but he had pace to catch up to it.
Yeah.
I fucking got turned around. Well, zoom.
Well,
got to it.
I mean, he will get to play. I mean, the first game, I'm sure we're going to blow Trinidad out, and we'll play a pretty much second team in the second game at Trinidad and give everybody else a break. Be my guess.
Despite our previous history at the Port of Spain, and what Greg says, our backups to this roster should, in fact, beat them in Trinidad and Tobago.
I mean, our American MLS All-Star team should beat this team.
Yeah.
So
it's smoked in the Gold Cup. What are you talking about, Derek?
If these guys don't crush Trinidad and Tobago, it'll be the biggest travesty in the world. They need to kill these guys.
But Greg talked about that. He's like, hey, they didn't have the greatest performance in the Gold Cup, but they turned it around and had a great Nations League. Well, I mean, who were they playing in the Nations League at that point? They weren't They weren't necessarily playing Jamaica and United States. Let's put it that way.
Well, they should have. Doesn't matter. You could tie a brick to everyone's testicles for that game. These upcoming games, and we should still win. Larry for $2. Thank you, Larry. My brother loves Formula One. Ooh, I do too. His son legit plays. Oh yeah, you're gonna after bringing up USL and the women's fucking thing, you're gonna pretend to be.
I'll come back to Larry's comment in just a second. Yeah, but yeah, this played right into it. USL, NWSL, and transfer news in that order.
Yeah, painful. My brother loves F1. His son legit plays U2, the band.
That's what I was thinking. I was hoping that meant something to you.
It didn't. The under 2? Is there an under 2 league somewhere? An under 2 league? A bunch of fucking little toddlers running around, kicking a ball about the size of a softball. Something like that. U2s? I didn't know that the leagues went down that low on the U2s. It
has to be in relation to Formula One. Why even bring it up?
I don't know.
Comparison. Larry, hook us up with a follow-up on that.
Yeah, because
yes,
right.
they hold on. I can't. He says
Yes,
I can't help. He does YouTube. No, dude, for real. Yes, they practice. You might be right, Derek.
They
might have a
an under 2 league?
Barely walking and.
What the fuck? Come on. Seriously? Show us footage. Send us footage of this U2 league. I want to see this. Just to believe that there's something called under 2 soccer. AJ1410 blah 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 for $1.99. Thank you, brother Derek. What is first step in German development? What is the first step in German development? Well, practically
an American serviceman.
Well, that's could be part of it. But listen, every small village in Germany has some sort of league you can play in. All right, if it's ridiculously small, not. But every town has its own team. And Germans, the major teams, bigger teams, all scout all those smaller teams. And if they see a particular player, they'll go, don't sign them. I guess that's the first step, but I don't think it starts at U2. Well, really, U2 is the youngest I've heard of yet. My U2 has been bailing out at the local facility. Balling out at the local facility. All right, sponsored by Pampers. I've never heard of this under 2
This
league.
is what I was kind of thinking about when you said, show me the video of these 2-year-olds playing soccer.
Come on. Can we not be sickos? I just want evidence that it exists. Sorry. All right. What do we got next?
Hold on, Derek. Derek, I'm going to give you a second chance on it. You ready?
Yeah.
I forgot that I found a second one. You ready?
Oh, hold on. Yeah, I'm ready. Transfer news. Transfer news. But me.
Nice
Now,
surround sound.
The weird thing about that is it doesn't sync up when you play it on YouTube later.
That is weird because you were slightly behind. There was a little bit of an echo effect there for me.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't know what that was like for everybody else though.
Well, depends on how much lube they had. All right, where would you put Tati Castellanos in the U.S. men's national team strike order? Valentin Castellanos is currently in the process of doing his paperwork to become eligible for the U.S. He will need to come to the U.S. next year around March to sign his residency. Tati is checking out all his options as he wants to play international.
How many players of green card status to U.S. men's national team have we heard already?
I have almost nothing to say.
I don't know if that's the case in this front actually, but
hold on here.
I literally got this rumor as we were starting the show, like literally starting the show.
All right, so right now he plays for Lazio. Okay.
Oh no, I heard this like last week actually. Did we talk about this?
I don't know. I don't think so.
God, I feel like I heard this somewhere.
Can he kick some serious ass and continue to kick some serious ass for a while at Lazio before we get overly excited about this? He is a forward. He scored one goal so far. I mean, he did go to Girona and did fairly well there. I get it. I just haven't heard this. This is the first time I've heard this news. So it's going to take me a while to digest this.
It's one of the things that he was in the U.S. for a number of years.
NYCFC.
Yeah. But then he made the move to Lazio, which halted that status. I don't even know where I heard. Was it must have been maybe a tech episode or something like that? I know I heard this. Somebody was talking about this beforehand.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I mean, it's listen, depth is always good. But I mean, he's going to have to beat out Balogun and Pepe. We only take 2 center forwards.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, no, you listen. I don't know if we'll go over this topic with Greg or not.
Well,
he did talk about it. He's like, well, we don't necessarily have to bring in just 2 strikers.
Bullshit.
Wait for those moments. Sargent gets healthy, and he can play the wings. I guess is that what he's trying to say?
I mean, unless he plans on playing a 3-5-2 and actually playing 2 strikers at the same time, which my balls will fall off if that happens because I'd be so shocked. So we'll keep an eye on it.
BMR asks, how's this transfer news? Well, he's transferring to the United States national team, of course.
He's got a good point.
Well, this is one of those gray area topics where we talked about a couple of the other MLS players and like, they're vying for U.S. citizenship so they can play for the United States national team. Where do I throw that in there? Just regular topics? Now let's throw that with transfer news. Why not?
Can I ask you this?
You go for it. Why not?
Tati, leave that up.
Oh, sure. I thought you were just asking random stuff.
Tati's checking out all his options as he wants to play internationally. What other fucking options does he have? There's Argentina, who he will never play for. And there's us. Like, what other options? Has he lived somewhere else for a decade? And
so
try to get citizenship.
Is this one of those players that Donovan was talking about back in 2014?
Could be. He
wants to play internationally, so he's checking out all his status. So he'll do whatever he has to do to get U.S. citizenship so he can play internationally, basically, is what he's saying here.
I mean, the only thing he's ever done so far is play for, I believe, the under-23 team for Argentina. Other than that, I don't think he has eligibility for any other countries. I could be wrong, but it's Argentina or us at this point. And listen, who's the other guy we've been talking about who on Cincy Acosta.
Acosta, thank you, yes.
So, I mean, I haven't heard dick about that since discussed in August or June. So I wouldn't get too excited about this because this process could take a while. Next year around March. See, that's a long time. So, I mean, I guess we'll jizz in our pants if he's killing it at Lazio, right? And he becomes U.S. eligible. But nobody's guaranteed a fucking spot on this team, even if they're playing at Lazio. Although if he's killing it at Lazio, maybe so. You're going to have to be killing it because I think Balogun's going to continue to kill it. And then Pepe, you would hope eventually he gets more time, like De Jong gets an injury, not hoping for an injury for De Jong, but at some point, De Jong's career is going to be over or it's going to...
Well, he's like, he's 32, 33 area?
He's an old man. I mean, at some point he's going to get injured or he's going to fall off a cliff where his play's going to start to suffer. Although there's no signs of that right now, that's for sure. But anyhow, regardless, it will be a fight. And he has no other options. So that's the part of his tweet, which is horse shit. It's either us. He's not considering any other options. There's 2 options. Us, Argentina. There are no other options. So let's not put stuff like that in the Twitter unless you know something we don't. Like he's got a Chilean grandma that we don't know about. Brett, how are you going? How are you going this show from your private plane? How are you doing? Brett,
Each one of these things are Wi-Fi emitters, and I'm going through Starlink since I'm literally a mile away from all the satellites.
Oppenheim's got all that shit hooked up in there. Yeah, for sure.
He's like best friends with Elon Musk. He's got all the connections.
Yeah, including Wi-Fi. I don't think they're best friends at all.
Wi-Fi through Starlink. I mean, this happens.
I mean, he might know Elon Musk. We don't know. We don't know who Brett knows, but we know he loves soccer and he likes hanging out with people who know soccer. So again, we appreciate the invite to Austin, Brett. I wish we could have gone. But hang out with Pete and Tack. I'm sure it's going to be a blast because Brett, I think, has some insider stuff. So we might see Pete and Tack hanging out with some, U.S. soccer players. Maybe doing a couple interviews. I doubt it. I seriously doubt that part because Michael Cameraman doesn't like that shit. So we'll see if they get access to pressers. I know Tack said he's got a present. I think he said he's got a present. Let me check my phone real quick. He's got a present for
a present for us?
He's got a present for Berhalter.
Nice. For what?
For Berhalter, if he meets him. And he won't tell me what it is. All right.
Hopefully
anyhow.
It's a subscription to our channel.
Well, he might think I might blabber it on accident here on the show. I wouldn't do that. All right. What else we got? For Greg, dick in a box. That would be great.
All right.
That would be great.
Chris Gary tagged us in a post while we were doing this broadcast, and it's a little past. And I know you're not going to like this, Derek.
All right.
But we're going to venture back towards the CBS broadcasting rights.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Chris, why? Why?
I just want to say this will be a quick topic, quick add-on here. But I feel like Carli Lloyd is first off, Carli Lloyd has been signed on as a part of CBS broadcasting. People are upset. They're upset because of the stuff she said about the women's national team.
Oh, they need to get over themselves. All right.
So I feel like Carli's been dabbling into the Alexi Lawless how to handle social media press. Like pressure, not press, but the pressure of like people coming back with like snide comments and all that shit. It comes natural to you and me, Derek, but not everybody has that.
Right.
So Alexi Cumguzzler.
Alexi Lawless Satan. Carli, is it true you lost to a bunch of 15-year-old boys? What's up, Alexi? Yes, it's true. I like the fact that she just said yes. It's true.
Of course.
I know. Thousands of people have already brought that up. They were good. We actually lost to a youth Bayern Munich team in my career as well. But then we went on to win Olympics and World Cup. So she's got a good point. It doesn't really matter. But for those morons out there, and I've heard them, that think the fucking women's team could beat the men's team. And I've heard these idiots talk at stores and wherever. I was at a liquor store. I've told the story where these two morons that were the clerks were talking about whether the women's team could beat the men's team in soccer. Yeah, but women are like World Cup champions. And the men can't. They couldn't even qualify. Well, fuck them. I mean, you've got to be kidding me, right?
I've already closed it out, but there are some comments in that comment section where they're like, yeah, but where are those boys at now? Not winning a World Cup. I'm like, come on, dude. Seriously? You're going to play that game with us? Dude, shut the fuck up.
Like, people don't live in a contextual world anymore.
Yeah. Wasn't Tessman part of that group?
Maybe. It was the Dallas team.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the Dallas team.
When he was 15.
Again, it was a pre-World Cup friendly. Yeah, I mean, you hear the context of like, oh, you lost a bunch of 15-year-old boys. I mean, at that point, I mean, you're talking about 8th grade boys.
Have you seen 15-year-old boys nowadays? Dude, they're large mammals.
It's a dumb topic, and it was good. I think it was a good prep for whatever the World Cup or Olympics that they were leading into at that point. That's fine.
Yep.
Right. That's what you want to pressure. You can go and take care of the Philippines women's national team again, beat them 8-0 before going in there, I guess. But
and celebrate goals 6, 7, and 8 like it was the fucking goddamn miracle.
Woo!
I mean, it was abhorrent, tasteless bullshit. All right.
Well, thank you, Chris Gary, for bringing that back up because that was fun.
Oh yeah, I got tagged in that, by the way.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Yeah, on Twitter. That's why I already knew what it was going to be.
Oh.
Some dude said, "Boomer, Richie, you got to see this," or whatever, because it had come.
Oh, so was it somebody else, not Chris, in that sense? Or
Wasn't Chris.
So somebody else tagged you on it.
Somebody I don't know.
Why are they tagging you and not me?
I don't know.
I saw that beforehand. I saw that earlier today because, I don't know.
Guys like
my feed.
Dude, she's responding to some guy named Cum Guzzler. That's what the dude said.
Yeah.
So he tagged me in it, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I like being tagged in stuff that is funny because I did laugh when I read it. The guy's name. That is.
Oh, of course.
Not a response. The response was honest and frank, because that's what my aunt does. She's not my aunt, but I do have an aunt that looks exactly like her. It's frightening. Or did. Yeah. She's like in her 60s now, so she doesn't look like Carli Lloyd anymore. When she was younger, she was Carli Lloyd, to the point when my mom and dad watched the U.S. soccer game and they can't remember Carli Lloyd's name. Back in the day, say, "Oh yeah, mom's dad's sister played a great game." I mean, like, "Oh, you mean Carli Lloyd?" Yes, Carli Lloyd. We couldn't remember her name, but she looks so much like dad's sister. All right, there you go. All right, Erling Haaland, thank you for showing up. That was me, Maldini. Derek
hold on.
Guzzling cum. I tagged you, dude. Laughing out.
So looks like that was the guy who tagged you.
Erling Haaland.
If I'm reading the chat correctly here, it's always
well, thank you,
not.
Thank you, Erling. I do appreciate that. Maybe we could hook you up for an interview here at some point.
Chris Gary says, "Did Carli even read the name?" And he did.
Oh yeah.
I imagine she did because she said, "Hey, Lexi."
Right, she did.
She had to have read it.
She just doesn't. To her, that's not going to faze her. Why would that faze? That's like, would it faze me? No, it wouldn't. I would just chuckle, and I'm sure she chuckled. She's not one of the other chicks on the team who are sensitive to that kind of stuff and would worry about that.
Sense of humor.
Right. She has an actual sense of humor. She is old school, and that's not going to even bother her one bit. Trust me.
Yeah.
I'm sure she read it out loud to herself and chuckled. Cum Guzzler. I'm sure she did. All right.
Probably tagged Alexi on it too. "Hey, Lexi, you know this? You got a fan over here?"
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, "They can get in line. I've got like 40 of them."
All right. Midlife Crisis is back. Straight Red. Just watched the show from last night. Fun stuff as always. With RE to MLS versus European leagues. I was watching LAFC versus Vancouver the other night and thought, this is way more entertaining than watching mid-table Bundesliga or Serie A. Do you happen to have a connection to LAFC or Vancouver? Because the game was okay. It's pretty entertaining. But then I watched last night's game between the Revs and Philly. And, I mean, that was horrible. It was not a good game, a fun game to watch at all. And
did you like McGlynn's assist or whatever he got?
It's all right. Yeah.
It's good for him.
Yeah, I didn't get an erection or anything. I do have to say, watching that game, that Philly's so smart. Like, whenever Gill got the ball, or heel, whatever you want to call him, he must be the most one-footed motherfucker I've ever seen play soccer, because they were like, "Go ahead, dude. Dribble with your right foot. You can have the whole right foot lane. Just have it. We don't care. Have it." And he still wouldn't take it. Motherfucker would not go right to save his life. Wait. Yes.
The funny thing is we see that with
It's
EPL players
left.
too. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
I get your point. But we see that with the EPL side as well.
Yeah.
Like a player will do whatever they can. They'll do a 360 just so they can try to hit a ball with the outside of the right foot rather than hitting with their left foot.
Right.
Guys, you're professional players. Develop both feet. What the fuck?
They were just giving that guy shots. Just say, "Go ahead, have a shot with your right." And Gil was like, "No, not going to do it. I'm going to try to barge to the left." And all night, it seemed like they were smart. They played it smart. And then the red card should have been a yellow, because obviously there was no intention to hurt by K, the player from Philly, at all. The guys covering the game, the announcers, I don't know who she is, by the way. I have no idea who she is. It's quite hard to listen to. her voice, the tone of her voice. And believe me, there are lots of female announcers I love and have watched over my years. That one, it's a little hard to listen to. But Kay did not stomp this dude. He did trot on him because he was still running or was making a movement, and the dude's chest was right where his foot was going to go. But he didn't like stop and then push down and crush the guy's ribs or anything. I don't know. To me, that's a yellow because it's an accident. I mean, if we're going to give red cards for accidents, Jesus Christ.
But you also got at that point, you have to look at what's the build up there. Because I mean, I saw the after effect of him stomping down, and yeah, there was contact. He definitely cleated him down.
He didn't stomp him.
What happened? I didn't get to see the play that led into it. Was he like sliding into it? Because at that point, you're kind of asking for it.
Well, they were kind of fighting for the ball, but I don't think that was a stomp. That's just my fucking opinion. Obviously,
like purposely like doing something. You know,
the ref didn't even call it.
Yeah,
he was called to VAR, and then he watched the VAR, which obviously that's going to look horrible in slow motion, and it did. And he immediately got a red card for that. I guess you couldn't give him a yellow. I don't know. Stratman, I hope your guitar is well and secure. You're having a good time, or maybe you're just good at strategic games. I don't know, but you'll let us know at some point. For $4.99, my stepsister, fiance, and are cuddled up watching the premier soccer interfamilial relationship experts at work. Masterful. Keep it up, boys. Thank you. And remember, what I'm really good at, happy about, is that your relationship is going so well. Let us know how that announcement to your parents, how that all went. I hope it went smoothly, just based on our talks in the past. All right. Where next, Brett?
I was saying, if any indication from watching many a video on the subject, hooking up with her mother is okay, too.
But very bad for your relationship with your stepsister. So don't
and
do
your
that.
dad.
Correct. Yeah, no, that's horrible advice, Brett. Absolutely.
I'm just saying, I've seen many a video where it seems to be okay. So,
well, you must be on the phone with our benefactor,
Mr. North.
Yes, yeah. I think Peter North. You and him got to stop hanging out because that's some bad advice. All right.
We didn't really talk about this topic actually. Let me go back. We sort of talked about it. We talked about the MLS aspect of playoffs. Being entertained by watching an MLS game is not the same as saying, well, mid-table Bundesliga or Serie A are on par.
Yeah.
I can watch Chicago. I can be entertained and then find out that, I'm entertained for like 89 minutes and then find out the 90th minute that we end up drawing 1-1. Then I'm less entertained.
I mean, listen, being entertained is a low level. I was for a while watching the Star Trek series, right? The new one. And it's not good. Was I entertained by it? Yes.
I don't think anything Paramount's done for or was it Paramount? It's Paramount, yeah. I don't think anything Paramount has done for Star Trek has been good. Just the same way I don't think anything that Disney's done for Star Wars has been good.
And I watch a lot of stuff that a lot of people might think is crap or is, I don't know. What's that new one? Oshoka. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've been watching that. Of course, I watched it till all the series ended, and then there's been nothing since, and that's been like 2 months. So I don't know what they're doing there, but it'd be nice if they put a new fucking series up at some point, a new season or something. What the fuck's up with that?
There needs to be some massive change with Disney before I start giving a shit about Star Wars at this point.
Was I entertained? Yes. Is it good? I don't know. That's subjective.
Derek, looking at the mid-table here of the Bundesliga,
which is, we'll say, 7 through 14,
roughly speaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any games there that you'd be less entertained than, say, watching Philly versus New England?
Well, see,
now that's not to say there aren't shit games. We could watch a Wolfsburg versus Augsburg. It might be the shittiest fucking game in the world. It might be. But would those teams would Wolfsburg and Augsburg be in MLS playoffs right now?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Would any of these teams not be in the MLS playoffs?
Maybe Darmstadt, but
maybe. But we said 14 of them. But even Bochum still. But yeah.
But Bochum and Darmstadt are they're not good teams. Heidenheim would definitely be in the playoffs right now. Even Werder, as bad as they've been for a couple last few seasons. Mönchengladbach with Pifak and Scally, they definitely be in the MLS playoffs. They make the playoffs. But then once you get into the playoffs, that's just a crapshoot. You could have
it is a crapshoot, yeah. And
anything
could happen.
Anything could happen. Less so now with the best of 3 series. Harder for a shittier team to beat a better team. Now you have to beat them twice. So that fluke can only, has to happen twice now instead of once. So, but yeah, anyhow, no comparison. Better leagues, Serie A. I mean, whatever you're entertained by is whatever you're entertained by. Some people watch ants fighting. That's fine. That's what you're into.
I saw a picture of a extreme close up of an ant's face, and I looked at that. And go, no, that can't be right. That can't be right.
No, it is.
But apparently it is, and it's like I'm looking at them like that doesn't seem right. I just imagine the ant having like a round black head or red head, nothing like no actual like mouth or anything like that. It's just it's all like just round,
No,
that's all we can see at this point. But yeah,
no,
I know. I know it's got a little. I've seen
antennae, and they clean their antennae with their little legs.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I've seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I know what ants look like at a close up.
Well, I'm glad that you saw that movie and it educated you, Brett.
Educated me on that. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
All right, my left foot is done.
Again, ultimately, you can be entertained with them less. I'm entertained with them less. I enjoy it. I mean, there are definitely games where I don't enjoy it, but it's predominantly me following my team. And there are definitely going to be games where I watch Bundesliga and Serie A, and I'm just like, oh my god, like the fucking Juventus versus Fiorentina game, fucking horrible, a snooze fest,
horrible game.
Oh my god, that was so horrible.
It is so bad.
You know what? Both teams would light up MLS.
Yeah, they would.
But I'm just saying,
that's just style of play. Style of play. Juventus plays terrorist soccer. They're boring to watch. Thomas Tuchel teams, for the most part, until recently with Bayern. But Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea, it was hard watching those games. They were so bad, and they're so boring. There's certain coaches, that's just the way they coach. A lot of people criticize Mourinho for that, too. Watching Juventus is worse than being waterboarded. I don't know. I've never been waterboarded, but yeah.
I could imagine, and I think you might be right.
Probably. You think feel like you're drowning. So,
It's just it's fascinating watching Juve play, and the fact that they're whatever second in the league, I think, right now. And you're watching each game, you're sitting there going like, man, insert team here could in fact beat Juve today. And then they managed to get a win, and you're just like, I don't feel satisfied by this.
They're just eking them out, and that's fine, but it is tough to watch.
It's one of those things where like Juve's defense, for the most part, is pretty sound.
Well, that's the whole point.
But the attack moving up is suspect, and we get a couple of chances. I say we as the universal we, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple chances, and we put them away. That's literally it.
Yeah, so pretty boring. I mean, not all the games have been boring, but recently, pretty bad.
A lot of them have been. Yeah.
Right. All right, next topic. What do we got?
Let's see here. What do you feel like doing? We feel like doing a Berhalter? Do you feel like doing a Donovan?
Let's do.
You feel like doing the actual roster call up? We have to do Berhalter.
Let's do Donovan, then the Berhalter, then roster. Makes sense, doesn't it?
That's a solid transition. Yeah.
Okay. So I got some timestamps for this dual nat conversation, which, by the way, can I just say this? This is so good. Like, if this is what this show's going to be, then they've done something marvelous here. Now, they did it, and Jimmy Conrad's no longer involved with Charlie Davies anymore. I don't know what. I texted Jimmy and say, hey, what's going on next? What are you up to? No reply. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what
start your own fucking show. Get off of the big channels, and we'll bring you on. We'll come on to your show.
Yeah,
join us. It's fun here. It's fun.
So I don't know what Jimmy's up to, and I don't know where he's going next, and we'll see. But this shit is good. Now, there was one point where Charlie Davies near the end of this asks a good question or brings up a good point. No one hears them because they're goofing off so much, and they never get to his point. But that's okay. Other than that, this is really good. But I have to say that Landon does his very best to explain this whole dual nat thing. Remember, he went on, what was it? CBS, right?
Yes, it's CBS. This right here.
And said, we got to stop recruiting all these fucking dual nets. We don't need to do that.
Oh, okay, yeah. It was CBS, yeah.
That was very a suspect thing to say because, and I don't think any explanation he gives here actually cleans that part up. That was still a horrible thing to say because you can't assume that Yunus Musa is not going to be the next Jermaine Jones, which he clearly says in this interview is not who he's talking about when it comes to the dual nats. He said Jermaine was there. He put his body on the line. He cared. But you can't assume that Musa's not going to be able to do that. You can't assume Balogun's not going to do that with his body, and he's not going to care and commit to the team because they are going to. They have to. Or because there's too much competition. So if you're not going to do that, you're going to be out, period.
And those players that you bring up, whether it's Des, whether it's Musa, whether it's Balogun, are committing to the national team at a young age.
Right.
It's not like they're like 26, 27, 28. And like, I can't crack this Bundesliga team. I'm just going to go ahead and join this team over here. So I'm not emphasizing any players here. I'm just specifying that they're doing it at a young age. Musa could have held off. And he could have said, maybe I'll develop enough to where I might get called up to the England national team. Balogun could have done the same thing. I'm not saying he would have. And I'm not saying that's anything against Musa. I'm saying that's more against Southgate and everything like that. But because he doesn't play in EPL, same thing that Balogun had. It's like, well, he's scoring lots of goals in that French league,
Right. So all that Landon does here is try to fix that.
Yeah.
And the problem here is, and you'll see it here, the more he tries to fix it, the more it still doesn't explain, hey, stop recruiting dual nats.
Basically, it's quicksand. He's like, I'm trying to dig myself out of here, but I'm sinking just as fast,
But give Kate Abdo some credit, man. She does not let him get away with it. She keeps going after his ass. So we'll start at 15:30.
All right. Well, I'm pulling that up. I do want to preface that the thumbnail for tonight's show, I sent to Derek. And I'm like, hey, Derek, hey, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
He's like, and your response was,
who the fuck's Jan?
So in the thumbnail I have, and you guys have all seen it, I'm sure, where it says, like, in the title it says, seriously, they're Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And then Donovan's going, sure, Jan. And so I had to send him the meme. And Derek's like, I know things about the Brady Bunch.
Oh, I watched Brady Bunch as a kid, but I would never gotten the joke.
And I'm like, well, apparently you're not into the internet memes either.
I know. I guess not. I mean,
that's a very common GIF, man.
I've seen that GIF before, actually. It's not the first time I've seen it, but that's not exactly. And you know what? I didn't even read it as sure, Jan. You know what I read it as? Sure, Jan, which is a male name in Europe, right? So I thought you were like, there was some player I didn't know about.
You're assuming Jan's gender right there. Well done.
I did. I assumed you might be saying Jan.
Jan might be a guy. You're right. Yeah.
Which is a dude's name in Europe. All right, let's do it.
All right.
I'm also like, I still have a real connection with Canada. Like, I feel connected to Canada.
All right.
I thought
well,
Mexico was your second team, dude.
that's what they joke with him about.
Okay.
They busted his balls for that. But all right. So
That's
if you
the
didn't
real
know,
connection. Canada, since when? I mean,
So-
yes, I know he could have played for Canada, but
what can I just sum up what he says so we don't have to play the whole fucking thing? He basically says, listen, I have this. Could have played for the Canadian national team. I was, obviously half Canadian. I have a real connection, but I would never have played for the Canadian team. Because I love the United States. I love America. Okay. And then he, at the very end of this interview, he says, yeah, but what if you weren't good enough for the United States? Would you play for Canada? Yeah, I probably would have played for Canada. See, what?
But he's a dual nat at that point.
Yeah.
The same thing he's harping against, right?
I think he is so confused about this issue. It just bewilders me.
I was born in Ontario, California. I have a dual nat. I could have played for Canada. Would I have played for him if I couldn't play for the U.S. national team? Yeah, sure. What is the difference?
I guess his point is, for me, for instance, let's say I was a really good soccer player, right? I could have played for Germany or the United States.
Sure.
But my heart was with the United States. Now, if for some reason the United States was way better than Germany and they didn't want me, would I go play for Germany? Yeah, I probably would. But my heart is with the United States. So that's kind of what I guess he's getting at. But I could brew up enough heart to play for Germany. Trust me.
I think his thought process is more like their heart is with Germany, but they couldn't play for Germany. So that's why they're playing for the US.
And we'll get into specifically who he's talking about because Kate accidentally lets the cat out of the bag on later in the show.
I'm not gonna lie, I do want to hear what he has to say though.
Okay, go.
Synopsis and shit, but I do actually want to hear what he says because I haven't watched this yet.
Okay, no, that's cool. Let's do it.
I was only ever going to play for the U.S.
You just said, I totally get that. When I heard you say that, no disrespect, it didn't feel to me like you got it. It didn't feel to me like you understood that if you, like, let's say you're Mo, right? And you have Nigerian heritage and American heritage, that you can identify with both of those.
Of course you can identify with both, but that's what I'm saying.
Can you not identify with both of those and still love America?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. Like no question.
How do you judge that then? That's totally subjective whether somebody loves America enough.
What I would say, the sacrifices you're making for your country on a consistent basis shows how much you care. And if you're not there often enough, then it doesn't seem like maybe people are caring as much.
You know who they're talking about there?
I imagine Chandler, but
Chandler and Fabian Johnson. Because both of them, Fabian had lots of injuries. And then remember that Chandler
on that one though. Yeah.
Well, they weren't serious. Some of those were not serious. At least it didn't seem like it. Or they popped up right before being called up with Chandler all the time. And
I understand. I understand with Chandler, less with Fabian at that point, but it is funny because Kate caught Donovan on the double standard there.
Yep,
she called him out on it, and then Dempsey chimed in to save
his ass. Yeah, he does it more. He does it again later. Dempsey's trying to explain something that in a much more. He's about it's about commitment. It's not about he didn't care about. Dempsey's basically saying what we've always been saying.
It was less fuck them foreigners.
Right. Which is kind of what Landon sounds like sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
And he's just not helping himself here. He's kind of, in many ways, he digs a deeper hole here. But go ahead, keep playing. The next one's 1705.
I guess the best way I can explain it is I am an example because I am extremely proud of my Canadian roots.
Okay.
Extreme.
I mean,
I haven't seen it. Now, he might be that way, but I haven't seen it anywhere.
I've never heard him mention Canada his whole career.
Exactly. I have never heard him say anything about Canada.
He says he watches hockey with his dad and other stuff. That doesn't... He visits there a lot. Okay.
I like to fish, I guess.
I have no Canadian roots, and I I don't know. I like Canadian people.
Yeah.
I don't like the Canadian Prime Minister. I think he's a fucking goon. But other than that, but most people think he's a goon. Even his own people think he's a goon. Now, we'll see if he wins the next election. But that dude is a blackface wearing fucking lion motherfucker is what he is. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Extremely. Like I've known the national anthem since I was 8 years old. I watched hockey games with my dad.
Oh, Canada. I know it too.
Countless times. I'm very proud. But I identify as an American. Like I feel American. I would have felt a little I would have felt fraudulent playing for Canada, even though I'm extremely proud of my Canadian roots. I would have felt like I'm not really.
But he would have played for Canada if he wasn't good enough for the U.S.
He admits it later, yes. I don't get it. Like, okay, then that's on you, dude, because I don't think that's how everybody operates. All right? Like, I think I would have preferred to play for the United States when I was younger, and if I were that good. But if I wasn't good enough for the United States for whatever reason, or the coach hated me and Germany asked me to, I would have gone play with Germany. And you know what? I love my mom. I love the German parts of me too. It would have been my first preference, but I could have found a way to not be a fraud about it. I would have loved going and representing Germany if that was my only other option. And I would have embraced it, right? Sometimes you got to embrace stuff because you don't always get what you want. But guess what? You still have a passion about both things. It's just one, you have more of a connection to the other. I guess I understand that. But I don't think it makes you a fraud. I really don't. I don't think Jermaine Jones is a fraud. And by the way, later on, he clears that up too. But I don't think Jermaine Jones is a fraud. He stayed here. He's works for the U.S. Soccer now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I don't think that was ever the concern. I mean, I never would have assumed Jermaine Jones being the person he's talking about. Mm-hmm. There's a common phrase or a statement, at least, that if you're on the internet, mind you, this is more for YouTube. If you're constantly streaming, the true you is going to be exposed. Now, whether that's good or bad depends on the person, of course. But to use that phrase for other people who are public, the more you're being broadcasted, whether you're a pundit for soccer or you're doing interviews or you're a coach that does interviews after that, etc., the more the real you is going to show up. And I'm not saying that the real Donovan is bad by any means. I'm just saying he's trying to fence sit his actual opinion on the fact.
Right. And
it would be easier just to flat out come and say, hey, I feel like some dual nats use the U.S. national team for their benefit, not because they love the United States or they want to represent them, but that's because that's their only option.
And the key word there is some.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That would be perfectly fine to say because there are absolute mercenaries out there, and I'm not saying anybody who's donned the U.S. jersey is a mercenary by any means. Or anybody else. I'm just saying there are people out there that are absolute mercenaries. Like, if I'll play wherever I can to kind of benefit me. And that's all he has to say, right? He doesn't have to say, hey, all these dual nats, we don't need them. We don't know we go recruit them. It's just
so why? I agree. So all of this and what you just said, you just said it, doesn't fix the fact that he told the national TV audience that we don't need to be recruiting dual nats anymore.
Yeah.
Well, and we need to stop doing it. This isn't what he's saying here isn't fixing that statement. It's not. It's just what he said. He needs to apologize for that statement. Honestly, he does. Because I don't think Musa feels like any less American than, I don't know, Pulisic.
And
at this point?
Yeah, and using somebody like Dest, who's represented us at the youth level, and then made the decision to represent us at a very young age. So again, I'm not sitting here disagreeing with what Donovan says as a whole. I'm just from where he's approaching it and how he says it. It's like he's almost trying to be a little too political about it.
Well,
and if you were to flat out say, hey, there are some people out there that want to use the U.S. national team.
That's all he needed to say.
That's fine.
And that would have been correct. We need to be careful that everybody who's a dual nat that decides to play with us, and I think Berhalter's been really clear about this too, is a part of the U.S. soccer family, is a part of the team as a family, and God knows everybody on the U.S. soccer team loves Musa. They are all so tight. They are friends. They're playing as brothers together here, right? Even if Musa hasn't been here and lived here for years, he's still born in New York City, and he's the brothers. Like, he and Aaronson are fucking brothers. He and McKennie are brothers now. They're blood brothers because they're on this team and they're playing together. So, I don't know. I think Musa would give his fucking right testicle to play for this team. I really do. I believe that. And I think Dest does too. But Dest has been playing for U.S. youth teams for years. Mm-hmm. He knows all these guys. They know him. They're like brothers too. Why would he go play for the Netherlands, a team that's never even really considered him much up until really late in his Ajax career? They weren't salivating over him. He respected the fact that the U.S. Soccer Federation and all the coaches respected his game and wanted him. That made his tie to us tighter, closer. So for him, it wasn't even a decision when the Dutch came knocking. He'd already made his decision. Yeah. And when did it come out? It came out. When did Donovan say this? When we started talking about Balogun. That's when he came out with his frustrated remarks about we don't need all these dual nats. That's a horrible time to do it. And what makes Balogun less American or less committed? And I guess he goes on later. He says it's really not about the skill of the player. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the commitment. Anyhow, we probably should let him talk a little longer here.
Yeah, I'm going to butcher the name here, but Plicata says he said that you fucking idiots is what he says. We're not sitting. I mean, Derek, you have seen this episode, right?
Yeah.
And I believe you have said multiple times that he does end up specifying it later, correct?
Yeah.
So we acknowledge the fact that he does specify the type of player he's talking about. The problem that we're bringing up here is that it shouldn't have been a problem to begin with. He should have flat out stated it should never have been about dual nats. It should never have been, we shouldn't be recruiting these dual nats. No, we should be recruiting the dual nats because you're actively saying, here's a player who's conflicted between two nationalities or more. And you're saying, hey, we're interested in you. Come over and play with us.
So
that's perfectly fine. But that's not to say that there aren't, mercenaries, and that's basically what Donovan says. I'm guessing Donovan kind of alludes to anyways, that will use the team. Happens.
Yes.
That's not what we're saying. We're not bashing Donovan for this point. So please stop calling us idiots for saying what we're already saying, what you're saying.
What the fuck? Placata, you fucking retard. Sorry. I'm sorry. He's a moron. Like, we're pointing out the dichotomy in what he is fucking saying. Right now, he's trying to backpedal a bit. But before this, when they were talking about Balogun, he's like, we need to stop recruiting dual nats. Nothing he says here is basically turning that comment that he made earlier around. Like, what he said then was wrong. What he says now is better, but it still doesn't fix what he said before. It doesn't fix it because he never flat out says, or he does a little later, maybe he gets closer to it. Okay, it's not that they're dual nats that I'm worried about. It's more like their commitment to the United States team as a whole. And that's all he had to say.
Fine. Yeah.
And he sort of gets there here. Not enough for me, but he sort of gets there. We can play it. But don't call us fucking idiots. All right? Because that's exactly what we've been saying here. And I don't know we're talking about the details of this. So whatever. Go ahead. Play it on.
Are we continuing this point right here? Or are we moving on?
We can move on to like 21:15, maybe. I don't know if this is where he fixes it or not.
In any direction, right? To all three of those countries.
But would you also want them to show that they're a part of those cultures, countries, national teams, etc.?
Yeah, but so how do you? So for the three of them, for example, I want them to play for the U.S. But if my child,
Who's the three of them? Who are they talking about?
Oh, you 21-15.
Oh, I don't know why I said 2015. You're right. Sorry.
I mean, they go into all this specifics about this player and that player and what if this, what if that, what if hits you with the baseball bat, etc. I mean, it's not, the conversation doesn't really get concluded until the very end for the most part. But I think we're getting there.
I can only tell you what I feel. Right. There's no
Right here.
like data to prove that what I'm saying is right. I just know that one, I cared a lot more about the national team and what happened to it at that time than some other people.
There you go.
That
That's all you need to say. But he should have said, that's it. And then if that's the case, and then JJ can be an exception, which he does say, he clarifies. He says JJ was committed. Then why can't other players going forward also be JJs?
I mean, using Pepe as an example, look at Pepe and what he's done for us in his short stint.
So if one player in your era, Donovan, can be an exception to the rule for you, and he says clearly JJ he put his life on the line, his body on the line, then why are you going out there on national TV months earlier for CBS and saying we need to stop recruiting dual nats? That was never addressed here, really, honestly. Call us idiots all you want.
It's a broad stroke, because I mean, how do you gauge somebody who ends up committing to you? Let's talk about Lund. He makes a one-time file switch to play for us,
right?
I mean, are we going to sit there and start second guessing his commitment to the national team?
You can't, because
to what level do we gauge a commitment to, say, country?
Right, because he could easily make the Danish team. Easily. Going forward in his career, I believe he's Danish, right? He's Danish. Or is he Swedish? I don't know. I think he's Danish.
I think, yeah, Danish, yeah.
He has just as good an opportunity to make that team as our team. If more of an opportunity to make that team. So his commitment to us has to say something about him and his commitment to the United States and playing for us. So going out and making a blank statement, and maybe this guy is calling us fucking idiot, hasn't seen Donovan's statement his prior statement that we need to stop recruiting dual nats because we don't need them. Okay. Well, then maybe we shouldn't have ever recruited Jermaine Jones, who clearly landed on and embraced, and so did Dempsey.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense.
But I mean, to even what extent do you have to embrace, say, culture, say, country? Does it require you to own a house in the United States and live there part-time? Does it require you to visit there frequently?
Based on Donovan said, these guys will never come back and never care again. I know who he's talking about. We all do. It's Fabian Johnson and fucking Timmy Chandler.
Yeah.
Those are the guys.
I knew Chandler. I didn't necessarily would have gauged Johnson at that point, but
might be talking about Green too, honestly.
Sure.
The only guys we know he's not talking about from this group is JJ. He's the only one that gets a verbal pass on this show.
Yeah. I felt like I mean, again though, even talking about somebody like Green, who may have in fact, looked at, well, I'm not making the German team, maybe I'll play for the US instead. But who's to say how he feels about his heritage? Who's to say how Johnson does? I felt there was definitely, and Larry's going to disagree, but I felt there was definitely a point where it was clear that Chandler was not going to be making the round trips.
Right. And
so,
my mom was part of that interview with Chandler, with Brian Schroeder back in the day, because she translated for him. He wasn't even willing to do his interviews in English because he was that uncomfortable speaking English, Chandler. And one of the things that came up was he doesn't like flying. He don't like flying either. We brought that up years ago. But he also discussed in that interview, hey, my coach told me that if I leave and go play, that I might lose my spot on the team. And so I felt I had to stay in Germany and stay with my club. Well, first of all, fuck your coach. It's a FIFA window, dude. You have the balls to go, okay, on your own.
I mean, everybody else has that opportunity too. Yeah,
right.
That was a bullshit excuse, my opinion.
It was. A lot of that interview was bullshit from him, and we'll find out. I have it marked here where Kate accidentally lets the cat out of the bag about who really one of the players is they're talking about here. We can go, unless you want to continue this a little longer.
We can see where he's going with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Daniel Brown says, what about Kevin Bacon? Bacon could have played for Iceland. He could have.
Yeah.
Minus the injury issues, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But he made the one switch over to the United States. And I mean, how do you fault him at that point? Saying, he's not American enough. He's one of these type of players that aren't gonna ever step foot in America again. But he made the harder decision. He played for a team. I mean, Iceland's definitely improved as a whole, but I mean, they suffer the same problem we have, is depth.
Yeah, no. If Johansson would have stayed healthy, he would have definitely played for Iceland at some point. Mm-hmm. They needed him more than we did, and but he didn't, and he couldn't stay healthy. So, irregardless, if people don't know who Kevin Bacon is, that's our nickname for Aaron Johansson.
Johansson,
yeah, they're doppelgangers. So yeah, I don't think he's talking about Johansson. I really don't, because Johansson dreamed of playing for the U.S. That's why he picked us. All right, let's go ahead and play it.
No doubt about that. 2, I didn't feel, and I think it's come to fruition, that they in any way were hurt by, devastated, disappointed in the same way that most were, that we did okay in the World Cup, but like when we lost or when it was over, that it was over. That's all. That was my point to Jurgen, is you're going to have someone who will fucking die for the country and the team. Literally. Like, that's how I felt.
Probably true.
Fair.
Probably true. For 2 players I can think of. I wouldn't include Brooks in this. Maybe 3 players. Green, Johnson, and JJ. And Chandler. Not JJ. Definitely not JJ.
What about Brooks in that sense? So JJ, Johnson.
Brooks. There were, I think, 5 total dual nat Germans on that team. Chandler, Brooks, Green, Fabian Johnson, and JJ. He loves him some JJ. So that.
Who doesn't like Jay? Who doesn't like?
He's my favorite. He's my favorite player of all time.
Come on.
So
that guy left everything on the pitch. There's no complaining. No comparing in this situation.
Right.
And you're right. If he brings, obviously, I don't think he feels that way. But if he brings up later and says, hey, I'm not talking about this guy. Again, who would honestly think that?
Nope. Right. All right, 23 minutes in, unless you want to continue this a little longer, but we don't have to. There we go.
Success.
But so how are you quantifying, or how are you like identifying their level of care? Because to me,
because I saw it. I mean, I just saw it over months and months and months in camp.
Anecdotal evidence.
Not really.
It's tough to convince other people, though. Like, hey, I saw him. He didn't salute the flag during the national anthem or something like that. Okay.
I don't know if it's anecdotal. It's his personal feelings.
That's exactly what it is, isn't it?
His personal experience. I guess you could still call that in a court of law.
I'm just saying when it comes to convincing people, like, this person doesn't love the United States the way I love the United States because I saw it at camp.
Yeah, well, it could be cultural too. I can tell you that if you were raised in Germany in that era, okay, and you were Timmy Chandler or Fabian, listen, Germans are not known for showing emotion. And I don't know if people know that, but it's just not a thing they do. They're loud. They can be very loud when they talk, but Germans don't show emotion. That's a very German thing. I know that's a massive generalization, but that's just generally true. They're not emotional people. They're not going to be weeping in front of you, begging for forgiveness or anything like that. That's just not a German thing. They don't tell you they love you. They don't wake up and want to hug. That's just not German culture. So if that's what he didn't see, the same sort of passion, like outward passion that JJ did deliver, but the other guys didn't. And yeah, because JJ's maybe a little different than those other guys. JJ's a fucking baller. He's badass.
Yeah.
So,
and I do want to preface, obviously, this is his opinion.
Right.
It's what he experienced, and he might not be wrong. I'm not saying that he's not wrong. All I'm saying, and I'll keep playing, and maybe I'll be convinced.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is that when it comes to the point where you're making a point like, hey, we need to cut out this dual national recruitment issue we got going on here. Oh, because I saw things. It's tough to convince people that way.
It's kind of like
it's what I experienced. Well, that's great, but are you experiencing it the way they're experiencing it?
It's kind of like when he talked about Pulisic before. Hey, that's what I would have done. I would have come back to the MLS.
And you did.
That's because that's what you would do, Landon. That's not what Christian would do. Christian's his own fucking man. He'll make his own fucking decisions. And your recommendation that he should come back to MLS instead of go playing for AC Milan was just frankly fucking stupid. It was stupid. And it was so internally subjective feeling Landon Donovan for him to do that, because that's what Landon would have done. But guess what, Landon? Christian ain't Landon Donovan. He's Christian Pulisic, and he has higher aspirations, and he has a different way of coping with the outside world, the external world. And he's an introvert, but he's not painfully introverted like you were. So you're just different people. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, but play this because this gets good.
I was gonna say, because it was funny because you brought up the Pulisic coming back to MLS topic, and I had the Josie interview on Kickin' It pulled up for a different reason. But one of the things they talked about in that 10-minute clip that I had pulled up initially was what Kate had asked Josie. It's like, hey, did you hear about because Dempsey brought up the point that, hey, going after the 2014 World Cup, a lot of the big boys on the national team ended up coming back to MLS. You had Jones that came back, you had Dempsey, you had Josie, you had Bradley, all came back from Europe.
They were all almost in their 30s at that point, though.
They were definitely up there in the age. I agree. And I'm not faulting them for coming back. Quite frankly, I argued for the reason why they did come back. They came back for a massive payday. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, fuck, Josie and Bradley both made $6 million at Toronto. Yep. How many years did they have to play in Europe in order to get that $6 million? That's 1 year. So no, I don't fault them for making that trip back. I mean, it's their lives, it's their payments. And Dempsey even talked about in that interview, because one of my favorite moments of being a professional was when I came back to MLS and I made all that money. I told my parents, I'm like, you no longer have to work. Thank you for the trips to insert the team he played for and everything, whatever. He said all that. That's a great moment. But what was the topic we were talking about? We were talking about the players coming back, but
I don't know.
I spaced where that was going because I got a little sidetracked there now. Shit.
I was talking about Pulisic too.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Kate had asked Josie if you heard what Donovan said about Pulisic. And said, hey, you're leaving Chelsea, just come back to MLS. You can be the face of MLS going into the 2026 World Cup. And Josie's like, oh, I didn't hear it. I've never heard that. And one that it's an indication, obviously, that some of these players obviously just stay off of social medias.
Yeah,
for the bulk of it, because there's no way if you were to follow the soccer world, there's no way you'd not hear about that. But Edu chimed in and basically said, hey, I even called that out crazy when he said that in the interview, because it was during a Paramount Plus. It had been a USA game, and he was in there. But Edu was like, I called him that was crazy. There's no way in hell that he's going to make that, come to MLS at such a young age. He just got done playing with Chelsea. He'll find another European team, et cetera, et cetera. But
yeah, I mean, the whole point of this being that What Donovan is doing, unfortunately, is using his own personal experience, and he's projecting it onto other people. Like, don't project your personal experience with Julian Green, Fabian Johnson, and Timmy Chandler onto Yunus Musa, Florian Balogun, and other dual nats. Lund. Don't project. Just like you projected onto Pulisic that he needed to do what you did. You can't, that's not healthy. You don't project your experiences on the future. Why don't you use JJ as your best experience of projection going forward, that there are other JJs out there that can be recruited, rather than blanket statement that we need to stop recruiting dual nats. That blanket statement was not good.
Yeah.
Donovan shouldn't have been at the World Cup on merit alone. Agree. And instead, we took some mediocre mercenaries. Agree. On that placata, we agree. All right. That is perfectly good statement.
And
there are lots of players on that team that should not have gone.
Not even dual nats, just in general. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Nope. We've said that since 2014. Since the roster was announced in 2014, we've broadcasted that from on high.
Yep.
It came as a shock that Donovan was not a part of that World Cup team, and then it became obvious afterwards. But
personal reasons. Yeah.
So no, 100% agree with that.
Keep playing this because this gets good.
Come on, Mo.
No, I know. I'm just trying to figure out. If
I'm just saying what everyone else was thinking, and no one's got the balls to say it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just asking if you're saying that equates to performance.
He says it doesn't.
I think there is. I mean, you can still perform without caring to that level, but I think there's something more you're willing to give when you care at that level, at the level I cared, and many others did.
Which essentially you're saying is Jurgen brought players who felt that this was an opportunity just to raise their profile to play in a World Cup because they weren't going to get it in any other country, representing any other country, to compete and use that as a springboard.
I think a few players,
at some point, but
sat them down.
A few.
Lie detector test would say, yeah, that's what it was. And in fairness to Jurgen, like, he just wanted the best team possible, so it's fine if he thought that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fine. And but all I'm saying is what Landon's saying here is correct. Mm-hmm. All right. Like, his personal experiences, there were a few players who didn't care as much as he did, and it didn't really affect their performance, but it could. If you wanted to give more, you could have given more. But all right, so
I love this comment where he goes, I'm just, you saw it. I'm just saying what everybody was thinking, and I'm the one with the balls to say it.
Right.
I love that line. That line was great.
And we all know who the number one culprit of this is, right? Nobody mentions names, but Cape Abdo lets it slip because they had pre-production discussions about this, right?
Yeah.
And one of the players they were making fun of was this player at 30:05 that she just blurts out his name on accident. I don't think she meant to do it, but his name had come up multiple times in pre-production, in non-filmed production.
She just docks the player? Man.
Right. Rough. Here we go.
I don't think I could do that.
I think the hardest part is because it's him. When we think of U.S. soccer, the first names that are mentioned are yours. So you're almost like synonymous with that brand and with that, and you're laughing, and with U.S. soccer. And so, like, now
if Timmy Chandler had gone and done it, you wouldn't have had a problem.
He would have said, I knew that.
I think
damn!
There's going to be an immediate
they
reaction.
just let his name just. So there, you can stop it. That's it. That's all. So it's like everybody knows.
Why pull that name out of the hat? Huh?
Exactly. It was not random. It was not random. Everybody.
Player of that Jimmy Chandler. Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Everybody who's played for that team has sort of backhandedly, not every player, but a lot of them have backhandedly said, yeah, that dude was not ready to come play for us. Yeah. And he was not committed. And hey, it happens. All right. So Timmy Chandler definitely is one of those culprits. I'm guessing Green and Fabian Johnson were the other two.
It's rough on Green because in that sense, because he was so young. I mean, at that point, it fits the same beginning mold as we see with Musa and Balogun at this point. It's just a young dual nat that may have favored one way at one point, and we've convinced otherwise.
I don't know.
That's not the gauge. That's not the gauge whether or not they're committed to the team. But
I think that in that case, Klinsmann is looking towards the future and just said, "Listen, this kid could be the next best, greatest.
Yeah. He could be the next Landon Donovan."
So I got to bring him. Got to bring him. But you didn't need to bring Brad Davis, and you probably didn't need to bring Wando over Landon.
It's funny because I make the same arguments when I talk about Landon too. And there was I forgot who it was that posted this, but they were talking about the current stats of the players at that point leading into May. And Wando had some 8 goals in the last 2 months leading into the World Cup.
It was hot. He was hot.
Davis had some 2 goals and 6 assists. It was something ridiculous. But going into a World Cup, if you were to pull the fan base and say you can only take 2 of these players, who are you taking? And you list Brad Davis, Wondolowski, and Landon Donovan. I guarantee you 100% that Landon would be on everybody's team.
You could pull the players. You could pull the coaches.
Yes. Come on.
That was a personal Klinsmann decision. Coaches resigned. One coach in particular resigned. Assistant coach after Klinsmann made that decision. He just said, "Fuck it. This is bullshit. It's personal. I quit." And then one more, because someone gets a stray shot. Yeah, they did.
Green,
That's
Jones, and Brooks all scored. Yeah,
they all did.
I mean, getting to that point, or he had mentioned that when it comes to Klinsmann, he just won the best team.
Right. Didn't care.
And got it, sure. And you can make the argument on both sides. You can say Klinsmann was right by doing this because it bettered the team, increased opportunities, and moving forward in the future, in theory, having Green, Jones, and Brooks going into 2018, you would think, "Whoa, geez, we're on a solid start moving forward."
Right. So one more at 32, even.
Okay.
Someone takes a stray round here.
The wife just sent me a text message. She goes, "Make me another drink, cunt muffin."
Cunt muffin. Nice nickname.
We have such adorable nicknames.
I know.
They're the best.
But I love the fact she calls you a cunt. All right.
Today I've been called twat and cunt muffin. So
Jesus,
she's in a lovey-dovey mood, man.
Amazing relationship. All right. There's someone here at 32 takes a stray round. Watch this shit.
Ooh, what happened there? That was weird.
I've always felt that way about Mexicans.
Do you like just being different though? Is there
It's
part of
not-
you that just
That's
enjoys
like Alexi,
riling people?
right? Like Alexi does it just to do it,
Oh,
it's just the way I am. I'm not.
He just has the balls to say he's saying what everybody's thinking, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not being different. I'm doing it because that's me. Alexi does it just because
rile people up.
He does it on purpose.
Yep.
So Alexi takes a stray round there in this interview. Good for you, Landon. And as you've been saying,
Alexi was watching this going,
damn.
That's right.
I know. Yeah, too.
He's caught on to me, damn it.
Yeah. Well, everybody's caught on to that shit. You've been saying that for years. I do want to say the game that I was thinking about in the last show that I couldn't remember, where Donovan scores, and it was the qualifier here in the United States on 9/12/2013 versus Mexico, where we won the game, 2-0, right? And Landon scores, and that's the game where what I thought happened. I couldn't find the footage. I saw the highlight footage of the goal that Donovan scored, but it cuts off too early because it was kind of after that where Dempsey's saying he's the man, and then where I felt like there was finally a connection between those two guys. So that would have been in 2013. It was a qualifier versus Mexico where we won. I believe, unless I'm totally losing my mind, right?
Nope. Final thoughts on Donovan's interview.
No, that's it. I mean, final thoughts. I think we summed it up. I still don't think it explained. Okay, the summary is that Donovan is taking his own personal internalized feelings about things, and he's using to make massive generalizations. So he just needs to stop doing that for the most part. For Pulisic, for other dual nats going forward, he shouldn't be worried about those dual nats going forward. If he doesn't think they're committed, Berhalter's going to know they're not committed enough, and they will be gone.
Yeah,
they'll be gone.
That's the big thing right there. I mean, he's taking experience. I mean, I'm not claiming that his experiences before when he was playing are false. What we're saying is he's taking those experiences and he's projecting them up moving forward.
Right.
And you again, perhaps everybody we're recruiting is just the next Jermaine Jones, and less the Timmy Chandler.
So far, that's what it looks like. Like I have not seen Timmy Chandler like behavior from anybody. Everybody's desperate to take any call up they can get.
Yeah,
they're desperate to play for this team, and they are committed, and they're putting their fucking bodies on the line. Whether that be Musa, Balogun, Dest, hell, half our team are dual nats. Fucking Pulisic's a dual net. If you want to be really honest about it, he is too. So there you go. All right, what do we got here?
All right, this is the Berhalter interview for the pre-match presser.
By the way, I want to say this is the best interview Berhalter has done in a long time.
And he's got a great camera. Take a look at that background. That's phenomenal.
It's a good camera, but you know what? He's honest in a couple times here.
Yep. He had, I thought this is a great interview. Nothing to take away. I have to say, we went into this new tenure of Berhalter, and we're like, we're going to give him a chance. You know, we can't come back with the old feelings. We have some feelings there still, obviously, and we'll go back to it every now and then. But we're going to give him a chance, see if he grows. His roster picks, mind you, some people will say he's kind of forced at this point, but his roster picks have been solid.
Yep.
His pressers have been entertaining in the sense that he's giving us tidbits to talk about.
Well, okay.
Less the questions asked.
Well, listen. Not so much the ones before this, though. I'm sorry. Those were still full of dodgy answers and gibberish. This one, less gibberish and more just, I'm going to answer that question. And Aaronson is having a rough time. I get it. And so-and-so is having a rough time. Yes, it's true. So I like the honesty there rather than the, bullshit. The bullshit. This one had lesser bullshit. It's not completely bullshit free, but it's lesser bullshit.
I thought even the questions asked by the press were pretty solid for the most part.
An improvement.
I mean, there's definitely no massive fluffing involved here. I think cameraman does bring up some random factoid at some point in this. That was like, what the fuck? Where did that come from?
I know. I was like, what is he talking about? Tim Ream.
By the way, that's what it was. Yeah.
Tim Ream was the oldest player to ever play. His first start was in 2010. Here, 13 years later, he is still on the national team. All right, back to your questions. It's like, what? That is the most random factoid ever.
Where did that come from? Okay, sure. I mean, it's kind of your job. You're supposed to fluff, but I mean, it's just like, by the way, fun fact: Tim Ream has 2 kittens. Look at
that. Yeah, very weird.
It's
very
strange,
weird.
But here we go. We're at the 2-minute marker here, where he's going to be asked a question about his lack of striker options and whether or not some of the midfielders, might be filling in as those wing options. So,
all right.
Next will be Michael DeCourcy from the Sporting News.
Yes, Greg, I realize that you can't share every strategic change you'll make, but is there the possibility that players who might be currently listed on the roster as midfielders might find themselves playing in those positions where Tim and Christian would be?
I think so.
So before we jump into it, Derek, you got to take on this?
I don't think that's necessary. I mean, listen, my take is don't move Reyna. Play him as the CAM, play him as the 10, and just move fucking Dest up as one of your wingers and start Dest and whoever, Paredes or Aaronson, flip a coin. I don't fucking give a fuck. But on the left, and then play a 4-2-3-1. Play a 4-2-3-1.
We as far as wings are concerned, we got Paredes, we got Zendejas, and we got Aaronson. Players in the midfield who could fill that role would be
Tillman.
Reyna, unfortunately. Tillman could. I don't know if he'd necessarily play Tillman out wide like that. He did He did once before,
right?
But also Paxten.
Nah, Paxton's not going to play in this.
I'm just saying he's filled that role with the youth teams.
I'd rather play McKennie out there than any of those guys if I had to, because I want to
keep filling that midfield in. Then at that point,
yeah, because I want to keep Reyna as the 10. But I just prefer the double pivot being Musa McKennie.
I guess
prefer that.
Since we're kind of talking about it, let's pull that tweet up real quick. Let me pull this up and go over here. Here we go. Yeah, go ahead.
Keep seeing people say Gio should go out wide for the November camp. With all due respect, I love that. What in the love of the national team are you all thinking? This is time for Gio. More minutes, chemistry at the 10 position, and give him our depth at wing some tests in must-win games versus TNT. I agree. Like, if you're not going to move Dest up to the wing and put Scally in it right back, which I think is the best solution, and let Dest have free fucking room on that right wing to be offensive and creative and crazy. Let him be the right winger and play Aaronson on the left, whatever. Who cares?
Wouldn't that be nuts though if Scally did play in the Weah position and then all of a sudden Berhalter had this aha moment that maybe Dest can be a viable wing option, and we don't necessarily have to rely on him to play as a wing back or as a back.
In a 4-2-3-1, you can move Scally to the right back and push Dest up as an attacking right winger. And in our system, that's perfect. It's fucking perfect. He doesn't have to play defense. All he has to do is be creative, which he is on the offensive end, and be dangerous and put in some great crosses, just like Timmy Weah does. He's not the optimal replacement for Weah because he doesn't have Weah's speed, but he's still a good fucking option.
More ball control and dribbling in that sense. Basically, you'd have what Dest is in the attack without the reliance on him playing defense.
Right. You got Scally, who's solid back there. Right.
Yeah.
Scally's going to be solid. So you don't have to worry about that right side anymore being, and I'm not against TNT anyhow. So, but here's a good time to test that whole thing out just in case there is ever a time again in an important game when Weah is injured. You can't play right wing. Who you got next? You got Dest. You can bring in Scally off the bench, put him in right back and move Dest up because Weah's laying on the ground writhing with a fucking hamstring or whatever, and he gets carted off the field.
The only downside to that would be is your only other two back options. I mean, I guess you could always bring Scally or not Scally. You could always bring Dest back as an option if Scally were to say get injured or something like that in the game. But the only other options at back at that point, if you're playing Dest at a right wing, would be two left-footed players and Jedi and Lund. So
I think the backs are covered. Like, I think Dest and Scally and Lund and Jedi, that's your setup right now. It's going to be that way for some time going forward. But now that Weah's out, I don't want Reyna playing right wing. We watched him play left wing with Dortmund, and all he did was get fucking smashed to the sideline. That's so easy to defend a player. Waste of a player who's great in open space in the middle of the park. Waste.
And this is again to what Dispossessed says here. This is the time.
Yes,
that you have a player who is getting used to being an attacking midfield option in Berhalter's system to gain some level of chemistry, not only with the attacking options, but also the midfield and the backs and everybody.
Yeah.
So this is the optimal time to continue playing him as the 10, if you will, or just an attacking midfielder, however you want to word this.
And throwing Zendejas on as a starter or Paredes as a starter, against Trinidad and Tobago is probably not a great risk, but it's not building chemistry for what will probably be your actual starting 11 3 years from now, 2 years from now. So you want Dest on that field regardless. So in this situation, if Weah is ever injured again, why not test Dest out as an actual attacking option down the right?
Yeah.
Let's do it and have Scally be right behind him, supporting him.
All right. Let's get back to the interview here real quick.
Back to Gregg.
Back to Gregg. That was a lot of fun, guys, but let's get back to Gregg. There he is.
All right.
We haven't even got to his answer. That was basically our answer to the presser. Do we really need to hear Gregg at the point?
Not really.
We do, because you want.
Okay.
I think it's telling.
It's telling. Yeah, it's true.
And, we always have a fluid attack. We have players maybe lining up as wingers and dropping deeper into midfield or into the pockets, maybe pushing the fullbacks higher. So there's a number of different things we can do. Our objective is to put players in the right positions that they can make an impact based on their skill set.
I feel like he said two different things there.
Kind of.
Because I'm channeling this all into him talking about Gio. And, hey, we can play players out on the wing who like to cut back into the middle and allow the backs to get up. But we also want to play them in positions where, it fits their skill set. So, I mean, is he saying that he's talking about somebody else instead of Gio out wide? Or is he talking about Gio out wide?
I know. I hope not. Gio needs to be our field commander, i.e., the center of all things connecting the midfield to the forwards. That's where he shines. That's it.
Yep.
Period.
100%.
Yep.
All right, we're moving up to 528 here, where we talk about playing subs. So basically, they're going to talk. Questions are going to come up here in a second, but they're going to talk about. Last window we had Gio who was in there for first half, and you have a lot of players who aren't necessarily match fit because they're not playing a lot for their club team. How is this going to work? Question mark.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just hear the question, then we can talk about it, and then we'll listen to Gregg's answer, just like we just did with the previous one.
Just to go back to how you replace Christian and Tim. Two guys that are probably candidates there, Brendan Aaronson and Gio Reyna. They're not playing 90 minutes every week for their clubs. Obviously you were managing Gio's minutes last month. I mean, how much can they play at the moment? If they're called on to play the full 90, can they? How does that sort of complicate things for you going into this camp? Thanks.
Okay.
I don't really have much to add to that. I mean, I doubt that Aaronson is an issue going 90. He's got a motor regardless of whether he's an everyday starter. Reyna might be more of a guy play like 70, 75, 65. I'm not going to play him 90. He hasn't played 90 for ever.
Yeah.
Right? So why risk it? Why risk it?
He will go on to talking about Aaronson, basically saying what you're saying. He does everything in practice and training to stay match fit. He does have a motor, and he can go 90. I don't see Aaronson having that problem.
I don't want Aaronson to go 90, but okay.
Thank you. I was going to say, whether or not you want him to go 90 is the big question.
Yeah.
Again, and I don't want to sit here and minimalize Trinidad and Tobago, but we're playing Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
Now the big question obviously is Gio, and he went last window, coming off fresh, barely playing at all for Dortmund at all. At all. I don't think
20
he's
minutes
put a match. And then he came in and he's like, "Hey, we'll give him a half. We'll plan sub halftime. You're out. That's how we're gonna do it."
Right.
He could, in theory, do that again, where he just substitute Reyna out at halftime and bring in Zen Tillman. But I suspect, given our lack of depth at wing and stuff like that, hoping that he doesn't play to the wing, hopefully he plays the 10 and attacking mid, that he will give him the 60, 70 minutes.
I would
and then
think
bring
so.
Tillman in or whatever, or maybe start Tillman at some point. So, and again, it is Trinidad and Tobago. So
right.
So
Shouldn't make a difference.
This exact squad got stomped by an MLS team led by the Pirate of the Caribbean.
They just lost to Carousel.
So
before this. So yeah. Do we need to hear Gregg's answer on this one? Because we just said what he said.
Yeah, we don't need to, I guess. I mean, that basically is what he says. He's like,
Right.
yeah. So
Yep.
Let's jump over to when he talks about Paxten Aaronson, because Paxten is kind of a surprise call-up, in my opinion.
He's not going to play. He might get some minutes in the second game, depending on how far ahead we are. Paxten Aaronson is there to get integrated, to have an experience, to hang out with the team. He's not there to play.
Reyna did play 70 minutes for Dortmund last week, and then he missed 2 straight matches because Tezrik's an idiot.
Terzic is a moron.
Terzic, sorry, not Tezrik.
But yeah, he did play.
Pronounce the name properly. That's how pissed off I'm about him.
Yeah, but the question was whether or not Reyna could go 90. We haven't seen Reyna go 90, so I'd be more than happy to watch him go 70, 65, 72, 70, and have him pulled and then put in Tillman. Because guess what? Tillman is an apt replace. If anybody's been watching Tillman at PSV, he's been fucking fabulous. Absolutely fun to watch. In the last game he just played, he came in for the last 25. He was a goddamn genius. He set up what should have been 2 goals. And then if Baba Yoko wasn't so selfish, he was sitting at the top of the box, which should have been an easy pass. But he didn't get the ball, so he didn't get to, have an easy goal. But he's been great. I mean, I had my doubts about him, but I don't anymore.
I think Reyna could go the full 90. I just don't necessarily need to see him go the full 90 against Trinidad and Tobago.
I'd rather not. I just put him in.
I would honestly judge it by where we're at in the game. So say if halftime comes around and we're up on Trinidad and Tobago like 3-0, I'm thinking about subbing him out at that point.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to risk a chance of him getting, clobbered.
Right.
And you might as well give Tillman a longer chance at that point. But
and
if
it's not
a game, then maybe you dabble a little bit more,
Is it a drop off from Reyna to Tillman? Yes. Is it a massive drop off? Fuck no. It isn't. I mean, what Tillman is doing with PSV when he gets to play, he was a starter for a short while, and then he had that bad game and next to Veerman, and they both got yanked. But then the next game, Veerman got to start, and Tillman had to come off the bench. But when he's coming off the bench, man, I tell you what, he's working himself back onto the starting lineup of that team. And because of their workload, they're going to have to play him. They got, Champions League. They've got all these games that they've got to play. So Cup, League. So we're going to see a lot more Tillman. And he's an artist. He's a fucking artist out there. Just like Reyna. Maybe not as good of an artist yet, but I don't know. They're not far enough apart that I would feel bad if Reyna was yanked at halftime to keep him healthy and we played Tillman for a half at the same 10 spot. I think Tillman is a beast. He's a fucking beast.
So Tillman's probably more well-rounded as far as a 4-3-3 is concerned, because he can cover back on the defense a little bit. I feel like a little bit more. I don't have a problem with Reyna's defensive coverage when asked to do so. So yeah, I mean, I think Reyna brings more to the offensive mind for the team.
I mean, watching, I know it's Holland, but what Tillman is doing to his opposition, and even in the Champions League, it's just been really impressive. Yeah. I've been impressed. So
I'm digging it. I like the competition for an attacking options. I feel like that's going to force Gregg's hand to keep an attacking option there.
We'll see how addicted Gregg is to the 4-3-3.
Yeah.
In this next 2 games. And I know people are like, oh, it's the best time to fuck around with a back 3. I mean, really, are we ever really going to use a back 3? And isn't playing a back 3 actually eliminating one of our attacking options or a midfield? It is. If you play 3 center backs, you're eliminating somebody. All right. I know Pete wants to fuck around with it. I know Tax talked about it too. I don't want to fuck around with them. I just want to stop playing a 4-3-3 every fucking game. Can we start playing a 4-2-3-1? Because that suits our best player with the highest ceiling, and that is Gio Reyna. Play that. Play it consistently for a while, because we haven't played it enough yet for our guys to get used to it. So we can't just do it on occasion. Let's do the 4-2-3-1 regularly for a while, and not the 4-3-3. And so our guys can get used to that system, get used to how that works, and Reyna can continue, and Tillman, coming off the bench probably, can get used to that system and working with the rest of the team.
BMR wants to know if TNT also lost to Bayern's U15 team.
They could, if you saw their roster, which is made up of a bunch of guys that play in Trinidad and Tobago and a bunch of guys that play in MLS and a bunch of guys that play at USL. They're not a good team. I mean, you go back 10 years and this TNT team had some real players on it. Go back to Shaka Hislop time. Real fucking solid ass players when they qualified for the World Cup back in the day too.
Mm-hmm.
Good player. I've never seen Trinidad and Tobago this low.
You say that about a lot of the CONCACAF depth at this point.
Well, I can't say it about Jamaica. Jamaica on paper looks fucking great.
Just performances hasn't quite been there.
But their performance is not there. Costa Rica on paper is not as good as they used to be. Mexico.
Man,
I mean,
Donovan would have a conniption if you were any of the island nations, if you were ever part of any of the island nations, because that's all they've done is gone out and get mercenaries.
Yeah. Well, France. I mean, everybody gets mercenaries now. We are not alone. We are not alone at all. All right. You want to?
Feral Munga says back three versus superior attacking opponent, not TNT.
I agree, but also keep in mind. Yeah, and I agree. That's the time to use that sort of setup against Holland.
Assuming you've got the players with the tactical know-how to run it, though.
I don't think that's an issue. The question is, if you make that move, somebody is getting taken off the field that you would usually want to be on the field because you're taking Ream and Richardson, you're adding CCV. Somebody else has got to come off in the midfield or the attack for there to be three center backs, because you're keeping Jedi and Dest on the wings. So that's five in the back in defense. Someone is getting erased. Someone's getting erased. So you got to decide who that's going to be if you're Greg.
Here's what you do. You pull a Heidenheim and you put Maloney in there, and in the attack, he acts as a six, and in the defense, he checks back into the defense. You have your three back. You don't have to sacrifice an offensive option then.
It's kind of like a 4-1-4-1, maybe. I'd be fine with that if that's what it looks like, but it probably won't.
It'll be a 4-2-4, Derek.
4-2. A 4-2-4, yeah.
4-2-4. Yeah. All right, back to the Paxten. I'm not sure how we got sidetracked so far into talking about when we have the topic of Paxten being included in the roster.
I mean, is it really important that we cover Paxten being in the lineup? I don't think it is. It's not. He's not going to play. It's not relevant. It's nice that he and his brother can go play golf together during the build-up to the actual and during camp. Other than that, there's no point in covering this. Neither of the Aaronson brothers are doing much of anything right now for their club teams. Sorry if I ruined it. It's just, let's be honest. Let's be honest about it. There's no point in talking about them.
Derek, I'm not going to bring up this next topic because I don't want you ruining it. We're going to listen to the question.
Okay.
Hi, Greg. I wanted to ask you about your center back outlook in general, and then specifically for Miles Robinson, the only domestic-based player, I believe, on the current roster, and where he fits into things, and how you've evaluated him in the current season, the playoff run, and then also what you see from him in the future, because he has an interesting winter ahead, it seems.
Real quickly before we get into this, I did want to bring up the fact that I brought up the Paxten question primarily because that was Brian Schroeder's question.
Brian Schroeder?
We had our good friend comment on that. So that was the reason why I was going to bring it up. And on top of that, it would just spark the conversation of, as far as saying, like, why is he included over insert player here or whatever? But whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, to your point, he might get a minute here and there.
Yeah.
Tail end of it to close out a match.
Yeah, depending on how far ahead we are, right?
Yeah. All right. So center back options, I mean, we don't have to talk about it. We can just listen to Greg and then go from there.
Hey, he mentions Brooks. Christ.
That's one of the main reasons why I brought this up.
Yeah, Miles is a guy that we really believe in. We've seen his growth over the last couple of years, and it's been really fun to see. Unfortunately, the last World Cup, he had to miss out because of an Achilles injury, but he's back and he's playing at a good level now. And, we hope that his team continues on in the playoffs and he can make a deep run and get tested in those games also.
And you said you've watched some of those games. Has he been getting tested?
He looks pretty standard to me. I mean, I'm not blown away. He should have been called for a foul in one of those games. PK wasn't, got lucky on that one. I don't know. Listen, Miles is going to go head off to Europe. We don't know where yet. Probably PSV or
Wolfsburg.
Not Wolfsburg. I wouldn't waste your time holding your breath for that one if you're out there, folks. But I guess he's one of, depending on the high line thing, he can cover a lot of ground. That's his big plus. But so can Chris Richards. So I don't know. I mean, I think we're going to see Chris Richards and Ream start for the first game.
Yeah.
But you will you'll see CCV and Miles in the second one, depending on how many goals ahead we are on the aggregate. But I'm fine with Miles being there. I have no complaints, but I do like the fact that Brooks gets at least brought up here. Token remarks.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? Do you think that he's bringing up Brooks to try to placate all of the naysayers? Like, why isn't he talking about Brooks? Why isn't he giving Brooks a call? So he just keeps mentioning Brooks' name as far as depth, so that way people are like, well, he's talking about him.
You're probably right. That is cover, because if you look at the team that Brooks plays for and how well he's done, and you look at Miles and the team he plays for, Brooks is far away playing in he's also, his team's near the top of the table.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Trustees playing for an EPL
Is that to
team.
say that Brooks doesn't have a blunder from time to time? Sure.
He did a couple games ago. Huge blunder.
Nobody's arguing that Brooks is a perfect center back option, but he is a consistent contributor to a top level Bundesliga team at the moment.
I'd say he's the best backup we have for Ream. A like for like backup for Ream. He can do all the things Ream can do, i.e., make the switch field pass, long one, switch accurately on a dime. Nobody else can do that. No. Miles can't do that. Fucking Richards can do some of that, but he's right-footed. Like, we don't have another left field guy who can switch fields to the right with his left foot the way Ream and Brooks can do it.
Brooks can't quite do the PR tour that Ream does when it comes to media.
Well, nobody's asked him to.
I don't think he could physically.
And
he's like, it hurts.
And it would be a risk doing interviews if you're Brooks right now, because you don't want to get stuck in it with a question.
How do you feel that Berhalter hasn't called you up in over 2 years? Oh, that fucker. I mean, I had to work some things out, I guess.
Oh, you'd say, fuck Gregg.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all. Yep.
All right, let's listen to the rest of this. Oh, son of a bitch.
But regarding the center back position, I tell you, this was a really difficult sector to make decisions in. Mark McKenzie's playing really well. I got to see him at Genk. He's playing well with his team.
Not recently.
Sounds like a Genk job.
Trustee's broken in, playing in the Premier League, and he's a guy that we see on the rise, potentially coming up. John Brooks is playing in Hoffenheim every week. So it is, there's some tough decisions to make in that group. We went with guys that have been here in the last camp that we feel will get the job done in this camp. But what I'd say is, those other guys are being monitored closely as well.
Oh, they're getting monitored. They're getting monitored.
Keeping eyes on them. Is it wait, what? What is this? Is this really
transfer news? Transfer news.
Transfer news.
Getting monitored.
Keeping eyes, keeping tabs on him.
Yeah.
But that's the thing though, is that he's like, this is a tough decision, but we want the guys that we called in last window because we feel like they can get the job done. Well, then it's not a difficult decision, though, is it?
Yeah, I would say this though. Thank God, no Walker Zimmerman, no Aaron Long, and somebody else had mentioned this is like the end of that era. Is it? Is it for reals? It is for long. But is Zimmerman really on the outside?
I feel like Zimmerman might be the only outlier left over at that point.
If he
maybe
is,
a Ferreira, if we're playing like an island nation that's not Trinidad and Tobago, apparently.
If Zimmerman is out of the picture, thank you for your service. But
you got your World Cup in. Good job.
Honestly, yeah, you got your World Cup, but it's time. It's time to move on.
Moving on up.
So, yeah. All right. What else we got?
All right. Let's see what's the next one. Next one is the final one, actually. We're getting in here at 1650, where we talk about Gio. All right.
Thank you, Michael. First, I've got two questions for you, Greg. First, you said the last camp for Gio Reyna was about getting him back to being used to the team and getting him ready to go back to Dortmund. He's now set to make a full return to the lineup, and could we
kind of talked about this already.
A full 90 in either of these games? And second, I want to ask about the striker position. You look at somebody like Jordan Pefok, who's got 3 goals and an assist in his last 2 games, but he wasn't a part of this roster. I'd like for you to possibly speak on that, but also striker
a little bit of the
was a
right
position
too.
That was viewed by some
both
a bit of a weakness going into the 2022 World Cup, and it seems pretty solidified now that they're Ricardo and Flora.
Just keeps going.
Excuse me.
Yes, the longest fucking question ever.
Point. Do you think with those two that this has been essentially a resolved issue?
I think Berhalter was taking notes during that. God Lord, couldn't have said, "Hey, I got 2 questions for you. Do you think Gio is match fit for a 90-minute game? And can you go into depth as far as our striker depth?"
Yeah,
that was a weakness of ours recently, and now we have these players.
Well, Pefok's injured, so that's a moot point.
Shame too, man. But here's the question: if he didn't injure himself in that match,
he's still
would he have kind of called in?
No.
Unfortunate, but no.
We only take 2 strikers. And right now, that's Pefok and Balogun. And somebody's going to have to score a boatload of fucking goals, not just have a couple weekends in a row or a couple weeks in a row where they're hot. They're going to be hot for like 6 weeks. The fact that he even brought up Haji Wright in his answer, we don't need to play the answer. He brings up Haji Wright. Oh, yeah, he scored a couple. Well, okay, he scored a couple just like last weekend, but then there was that time where he wasn't scoring shit for Coventry
like a month and a half.
So I don't see how Haji even comes into the conversation yet. We got DK coming back for West Brom.
Hey, he's back in training. Yeah,
but he probably not. He's going to get maybe 5-10 minutes next couple games. We'll see.
Yeah.
He's out of the conversation. Sargent's injured. He's out of the conversation. Pefok's injured. He's out of the conversation. Ferreira, fuck him. He plays only good against fucking Caribbean teams, and we don't need him.
Who playing?
I know, but we don't need him.
Yeah.
Our other guys can score against Caribbean nations too. And by the way, I mean, Greg brought up, oh, he scored too. Well, he scored on a penalty fucking kick. Please. All right. And so, no, there are no other options, legit options right now, but Balogun and Pepe, period. End of story. Bang. Over.
Wham, bam. Thank you, man. LB says, I have a question with 100 parts. BMR says that was like one of the callers in Pete's weekly call-in.
Oh, BMR, don't even bring that up. Oh, I know. Listen, I love all those guys. They're all well-intentioned, but that is not their fault. Pete does not run that call-in show like a call-in show. A call-in show is like, on a call-in, I got a question. Here's my question. Then you ask your question. Pete answers it. You get a chance to reply. That fucking shit's over. The call's over, right?
Yeah.
That's how it normally works, but Pete's giving him 3 minutes, 5 minutes. But it's like, okay, ramble on. Now, fucking Led Zeppelin song.
But that was the same. That was the same way with Sam when he did the call-in show too. It was just like somebody would call in and then they'd be talking about various topics after that for like the next 10 minutes.
I know. I was one of the caller-ins. Remember, D-Rec?
Yes, I understand.
I asked my legit question. Then I said, also as a second question, your favorite player's soccer player name. My 2 are Dudu and Balzaretti. Are your Balzaretti? Mine are. All right, I'll just hang up and listen to your answer. And that's it. I hung up.
It's funny because when Pete started bringing up the call-in show again, or call-in show again. I mean, he started it again.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas Sam had it originally, but Derek's like, oh, maybe we can do this call-in thing. I'm
No,
like, I really like this. I'm like, sitting there like, I'm sorry, guys. I respect the chat. I respect all the people in there, but I don't trust you fuckers.
And I said, I don't think any of our people would do anything that bad. And, you know, we did get called fucking idiots tonight. Fucking idiots. Which, you know, if you called the show and you called us fucking idiots, that would be like, you don't know what you're going to get out of me. I might light your ass up. So, yeah, maybe that's safer, right? Safer not to have a call-in show with me on it. Also, we don't need people saying things like that. Fucking idiots. Although it wouldn't really matter, right? Because we say fucking all the time. And by the way, dude, I'm sorry I called that guy a moron. I was just like, well, that's a fucking moronic thing to say because you're not listening to anything we say. So I apologize for calling you a moron. You calling me a fucking idiot and Brett a fucking idiot kind of like make me feel like you're not listening. So then I'm like, well, that must mean he's a moron. So not shouldn't have said that.
Says I'd call the show and call you a fucking idiot. Derek is easy to trigger.
That's why we won't do the call-in show. It's what Brett's saying is that
don't trust any of you.
I mean, it was. So yeah, I'm kind of a nasty dude sometimes, so I apologize for that. And Brett's the better half of us.
Doing something like a super chatter call in where we allow the people who've super chat us in the past to get the link and come in for a moment.
Well, yeah, we know who the regulars are that we know would probably bring good questions.
We would suss out all of you fools.
I mean, we know who those guys are, Chris Gary and, BMR. And I mean, there's lots of them. I'm not going to go through the list. There are lots of great guys out there making great comments. So, so, I mean, we would put out, I guess, a link that they get, option to, but the guys we don't know, I don't know. I don't want to be called a fucking idiot live because I might just fucking take you out.
I think it'd be funny if it happened though. That'd be the funny part.
I mean, it would. It would probably get lots of views.
It'd be clipped, and we'd get another million viewed video that we don't capitalize on.
Yeah, exactly. How many fucking hits does that have? That
it still gets it, man. I still get notifications of people liking that video.
What's it at? Like quarter of a million last time I looked.
Oh no, dude, it's got to be borderline a mil at this point.
Really?
That thing's up there.
So 1 million people watch me be a complete idiot for 2 minutes.
Well, it could no, that's the number of views. So I mean, it could have been the same person watching it 1 million times, Derek.
Yeah, I doubt that. All right. I mean, we know Josie saw it. We know Bretto saw it. We know, I mean, the whole Fox staff, the whole ESPN staff. I mean, so yeah, I guess all of them think this guy's a lunatic. Yeah.
But he's a lunatic. He says a lot of wise things.
But I just want to say this to everybody. If I call you a name on this show, it doesn't mean it's going to stick. Because even though I might say it at the moment, I do not hold grudges. I do not hold grudges. So there's that. I will forgive and forget. We can all move on. If you can forgive and forget, we'll all move on together.
Well, that's the big thing. I know. Like with a lot of the Twitter spats that I get into, I feel like every single one of them has, except for one. We did a video on this guy, but we never released it. But I felt every single spat kind of ended in a positive note.
Yeah, mine do too. Yeah.
So when I feel like bulk. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like when you're on X, people are conversing back and forth. I think there's a lot of the people who have like a big following that sit there and take like one shit post from somebody and like, oh, I'm blocking this guy. I don't want to talk to this guy. This guy's a moron. Or doesn't respond to them or like, oh man, we're full of toxic fandoms here. Whereas some of us will go back and forth and then end up in a relatively good spot.
That's happened a lot, actually. It's happened a lot. Even with that guy I had that whole fight with about, I don't even remember what, but in the end, he's like, oh, you know what? I don't agree with you on a lot of things, but your music is good. So that's good. I bought your record.
No, that was Alec. That was Alec who said that.
Was that Alex? I bought your record and it's really good. I hate saying it. He said, I hate saying this. All right. So we've covered so much of this already. I think what's more important is not who made the team, but how we set up and how we start, right? And we've talked about that too. But are there a few things that you want to point out here? Because this is really good. This is good by Berhalter. I mean, I don't know what else.
Based off of what we talked about on Monday, we said Slonina wouldn't be there because he'd probably be with the U23s, but it's nice to see him with the actual big boy team. I mean, he is playing week in, week out, so it makes sense for him to be included.
So it is Eupen. So I got to text Pete and Tack because they both say Eupen. So we got to get that fixed. Yeah. It's so weird. When I mispronounce it on this show, I get corrected. They've been saying it wrong for weeks on end. Nobody in the comment chat section says you're mispronouncing Eupen.
Yeah. Well, that's because BMR is apparently not commenting in their section.
I guess not.
All right.
All right.
I mean, going down the list again, we had the goalkeepers except for Slonina because we just thought we'd be with the U23s. Defenders, I think we had literally everyone here. I don't think anybody we were surprised by.
We got everything right on that one. Yep.
Midfielders it was a bit of a difference with midfield. Midfielders actually was a big surprise because
we didn't see Paxten.
We wondered if Maloney would be brought back in. And that has to be about it, right? Because I think Cardoso, De La Torre, MM, and then the two attackers. I think we all had that.
Yeah, we did.
And then the forwards, the big one was that we didn't have Weah and Pulisic, right? I mean, we didn't guess Weah because we knew he was missing it, but we didn't know Pulisic was going to not be injured.
Right.
We didn't know Pulisic was going to get injured.
At the time, Pulisic wasn't injured. So the outliers, the guys that are on this lineup, Pulisic's obviously injured. Weah's injured. Trusty just didn't get called up. Booth. Okay, I saw a lot of people saying, where's Taylor Booth? Okay, dude, I understand that Paxten being on here seems a little premature, but Taylor Booth's been playing like shit. I mean, for Utrecht, since he came back from his injury, he's been not the same Taylor Booth.
I'm going to have to tag Larry on this conversation because he was like, we need to have a real heart-to-heart as far as Taylor Booth. He's shit.
Taylor Booth has not been playing well since he came back from injury. I'm sorry. He's just not. He's not the guy who rocked the fucking Casbah, all right, when he was playing last season, when he was healthy. He's just not the same dude. Now, he might get back to that. Maybe that injury has not fully healed. I don't know, but he doesn't look like the same guy to me who was the driving force in that Utrecht attacking. Other guys, people, we already talked about Brooks. We know why he's not there. I don't know if that's like if you're surprised Brooks isn't there, then you're not been paying attention.
Yeah.
Koleosho doesn't need to make a decision yet, and he can wait. He can wait and wait and wait. There's no rush for him. So don't be surprised he's not on there. Pifak is injured, and Tyler Adams is injured. Amir Richardson, don't even worry about Amir Richardson. He has already told Greg he's pretty committed to Morocco instead of us.
That's fine. Good for him.
I mean, it's kind of weird in a way, but I guess, that's his mom's side, right?
It might be one of those things where he's playing the which side do I stand the best chance for type thing, you know?
Yeah.
So he could be looking at the US depth compared to Morocco's and saying like, I feel like I stand a better chance here.
He might.
Maybe he may have a deep lying love for Morocco. That's true. Possible.
His dad was an American NBA player. It's weird. But then again, Timothy Weah's dad is the fucking prime minister or president of
Liberia?
Huh? Liberia.
Yeah.
And he ain't playing for Liberia. He's playing for us. BMR says, to be honest, we have like no winger depth. Yeah, we do if you move Tillman or if you move Dest's a winger.
Yeah.
He's played multiple times for other club teams as a right wing back. So wing is still in there. So he could play winger for us and not have to worry about playing defense that much.
Yeah, we talked about Dest, and again, Paxten plays that role with the youths, with the U23s. I don't think we need to see Tillman or Reyna at the wing role. I think I think we need to see those in the center of the pitch.
Right,
both of them. Quite frankly, again, I'm thinking we get a lead going up, and we pull Reyna, we pull Tillman in, and I don't think that's going to decrease the quality on the pitch. Quite frankly.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think with the three we have Aaronson, we have Paredes, we have Zendejas, and then again you throw in Dest as an option or potential starter, quite frankly, and then Paxten Aaronson as another backup option. So it's not completely like for like, and I know that Paxten doesn't play the wing for Utrecht, right? He plays in the center, right? I think.
Booth?
Paxten.
That's Frankfurt. Thought you said Utrecht.
Sorry. I may have said Utrecht. My bad. I may have Booth on my mind still.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's played in different spots actually, but he's usually better centrally, just like but not. I mean, Brendan. Oh, I agree. The depth isn't there. Like Dest moving up to play winger for Weah when Weah is out is not optimal. But it's not bad because Scally can play right back solidly. So we're not losing much there. We're just losing a little speed from Weah, but we're gaining some incredible footwork and skill from Dest. The problem is you're going to probably start Brendan Aaronson out left. And that is definitely a massive dip in skill from Pulisic. That is a gulf of a dip in skill and just wisdom. So I agree with you on that.
It hurts, but that gap was always there, and it still is going to always be there.
Yeah, I mean, even if we had Koleosho, we're not really. We're closing the gap a bit because I do think Koleosho's ceiling is way higher than Brendan Aaronson's. So if we had him, and this would have been an optimal time for him to come, but yeah, he doesn't have to make that decision, so there's no rush. There's no rush for him. Yeah, I'd agree with you. There is definitely a gap here. There is a lack of depth because of how poorly Aaronson has played now for a season and a half or a year.
Remember when Pulisic in the qualifiers went out injured? So did Reyna, of course, but and Aaronson had to step up. But that was also Aaronson at his peak when he was with
Salzburg,
and he had the peak confidence. He wasn't a different player than he is now. He was just confident in his ability.
Yep.
And that makes all the difference in the world when you talk about it. Again, and we talk about what's Aaronson going to do. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he were to go back to Salzburg or go to a lower team in not a lower team, but a different team in a lower league. Because that could boost his confidence. And that's all we care about, right? Just a player coming off the bench or even starting that is exuding confidence.
It's huge. And right now, after the whole Leeds debacle, and then he goes to Union Berlin, and now Union Berlin are threatening the bottom. It's got to be emotionally just a kick in the fucking nutsack. So, I'm sure he and Gregg have talked about this. I know they have because Gregg brought it up.
Yep.
Aaronson, at his skill level, is a very useful player if he's confident.
Yep.
Aaronson, at his skill level, who is playing nervous, playing with a sort of extra urgency that isn't necessary, that's just not a guy that's going to be putting in. I mean, he's missed 3 or 4 sitters this year for Union Berlin. The guy just needs something to go in.
It's the difference between Sargent with Norwich in the season in EPL compared to Sargent in Championship. I'm not saying that Sargent's level is Championship, but he needed to get that confidence level, that boost. And now he has it. Now, mind you, he's injured, of course, and he's got to return from that, but he's exuding with confidence just from playing there.
And the difference is Look at Aaronson when he plays for Union Berlin when he is open on top of the box. Does he call for the ball? No. He doesn't want to.
Shrinks a bit. Like, don't pass it to me.
He shrinks away from the
Look over
opportunity.
there. He's open. Pass to him. It's that.
Right. Whereas Sargent went from, and we criticized him here. I did.
Yeah.
I said, grow a pair, motherfucker. Ask for the fucking ball. And now what does Sargent do this season when we started the season? He's like, pass me the fucking ball. And when somebody didn't, he went over and said, hey, I was fucking wide open, dude.
Yeah.
Pass me the fucking ball. And people were passing it to him because he demanded they pass it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Aaronson ain't doing that because he don't want to fuck up anymore because he's fucked up so much. That's when you get into one of those tentative situations where you're like, oh, shit, am I going to call for the ball here? Because I'm probably going to miss this shot. You know, that's where he is mentally.
And that's the difference, too, because once Sargent got that confidence level net, he started demanding the ball. Well, all of a sudden, his teammates were actively seeking him out, looking for him to give the ball.
Right.
And, I mean, when he was healthy, and especially when he didn't, maybe those rare games recently where he wasn't playing as a lone striker or whatever, he was absolutely getting those balls turning and lacing a nice 40-yard change of play.
Yep.
And he's lacing them perfectly.
Yep.
And I'm like, why can't the rest of the team lace those?
I know. They couldn't.
So,
they're suffering without him. Norwich are suffering without him.
That's dangerous though, especially if they were to say win the playoffs and move on to EPL. You can't just rely on Sargent at that point. Oh my God, that team would fail miserably.
Yeah, the team's not good without him. They've definitely. I mean, I know they had to get rid of Pookie at some point because he's old, but boy, they would have loved to hold on to Pookie for one more season if they knew Sargent was going to be injured.
Roll another ankle.
Because up top they have been garbage. So
yeah.
I think that's about it.
Let's quickly go with who we think who Berhalter's going to play.
Oh, let's do our 11.
Starting 11.
Obviously, starting get Turner. It's obviously. Here's what I actually think. I think I have grasped the Berhalter 4-2-3-1. I think he's just gonna do it, dude. I think he is. I know he's addicted, like a horny. As Tack said, he's horny for the 4-3-3. I think he said today. But I think we're going to go with.
He watches our show. Yes, because he does our stuff eventually. What we say to do, he does it eventually.
4-2-3-1. So if we're doing that, I do think Scally starts on the right, Jedi starts on the left. It's Raymond Richards in the middle.
I'm going with you on this one, Derek.
The two pivots, McKennie Musa. Outright Dest, out left Aaronson, in the middle Reyna as your 10, and up top Balogun. That's your starting 11.
I think you're right in the sense that he'll probably start Aaronson. I would probably start Paredes over him though.
What? I mean, if you want to, but I mean, Aaronson is beloved by Berhalter.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
I think Berhalter is going to play him there. I personally would play Paredes over him.
Yeah, based on recent performances, probably that would be a smarter decision because Paredes is confident.
Yep.
He just scored a goal for Wolfsburg. Yep. He started 2 games in a row, I think.
He's doing well. He does well when he plays for them, too.
Aaronson is a shrinking violet who's getting minutes off the bench for Union Berlin, who are one of the worst teams in the Bundesliga.
Yep.
So I'd agree with you.
Not necessarily his fault, though. That team is just shriveling.
Dude, Barons. Remember Barons took Pifak's starting spot? That dude can't even get a start now for fucking Union Berlin. He's on the outs. And that dude just played for the fucking German national team. Barons. And now he can't get a start for Union Berlin because the coach is desperate. He's switching shit around. He's trying to find any solution he can. And it ain't working. They just keep losing. What's it, 14 in a row now? 14 or 13 in a row? Oh, my God. If you're on Union Berlin, you're like, what's going on? What?
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing? All right. I think
do you think Pepe would ever end up warranting a start over Balogun at some point?
Well, he might in the second game, just depending on how far we are ahead. He might start a whole second team for the game in Trinidad. But if we're only up 2-0, probably not. But I think Pepe will still get 20 minutes each game, regardless. He'll get 20, 10 or 20, somewhere around there. Pepe's going to play. You got to continue to keep his confidence up. And by the way, Balogun is going through a rough stretch right now. So you can start Balogun, give him his 70, 75, bring in Pepe for a 15, 20 in the first game. And then it becomes contextual. What's going on? How far are we ahead? Are we up 5-0? And then you can play whoever the fuck you want for the second game in COPA. Whoever you want. It doesn't even matter at that point. We're up 5-0 after the first leg. You can play goddamn Paxten Aaronson as your starting center forward. It won't happen, but you could start all the backup guys if you wanted to and just give everybody else a rest so they can get ready to go back to their clubs in Europe and prepare for the season. But yeah, you could see a whole different lineup. You could see CCV and Miles together with Lund and then Scally. The holding midfielders could be Cardoso and I don't know who else. Maloney could be your double pivot. I mean, you could have a totally different lineup, and that's fine. We're up 4 or 5-0 after the first fucking leg. Yeah, you could test all the other players out.
I think even a B squad would still do very well.
Oh yeah,
they should. On paper, they should do very well.
Dude, have you looked at the Trinidad and Tobago lineup? I mean, it's full of absolute nobody zeros. So, I mean, we're talking USL players. We're talking about players that play on 2 teams for MLS teams, the academy teams. This is about as low as TNT's been. And I'm sure that, if you ask what's his face on ESPN soccer or FC soccer or soccer FC, excuse me, he would tell you, this is the worst. It's the worst team.
Is Slot over? Yeah.
Shaka.
Yeah. So U17 World Cup starts this weekend. First USA match is on the 12th. So here's what next week's schedule looks like for those of you who want to follow all of the U.S. men's national team, whether youth or seniors.
Okay.
Sunday the 12th, U.S. 17s are playing South Korea.
It's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough one.
The 15th, which is a Wednesday, we're playing BFA, and I'm not sure who BFA is. I'm sure it's one of those island nations.
Burkina Faso, most likely. That's an African country.
Oh,
BFA, Burkina Faso. Believe that's their 3-letter.
I'm going to take your word on it because I have no idea, and I don't see anything on here explaining it. Obviously, BMR says you're right.
Okay.
Never second guess BMR.
Hey, I mean, I'm just happy to get it right. Not look like an asshole.
The USA is on the Thursday against Trinidad and Tobago, and then on what day is the 18th? The 18th is a Saturday, so is the last game of the group stage of the U17s. So Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, all USA games.
All right, so join us live for the USA versus Trinidad and Tobago in Austin game. We will be covering it live here from front to back. What time does that game start? 9:00, you said?
Starts at 9:00. Yep.
We will be here around 8:45, 15 minutes before the game.
Yeah. We're not gonna do some crazy pre-match, and we maybe 8:30. Let's say 8:30.
Okay, 8:30.
Yeah.
All right.
That way we can still talk about the lineup, and we can, just shoot the shit, if you will.
Right. Look at the starting roster, comment, laugh at the TNT starting 11, talk about Vaseline, and
we gotta get our fluff in.
Yeah, get the fluff in, and then we will cover the game live, and we're going to try to do it as a traditional color team, commentating team, as best we can, so you can mute whatever you're listening to on.
It's going to totally be different than Pete's and Tax, because there's going to be a lot of, wow, what the fuck was that?
Right. So it's on Peacock, right?
Yeah, it's on TNT, Telemundo, Universo. Max, Peacock, and
Okay.
FTP, whatever the fuck that is.
So if you're like me and you got to watch it on Peacock, not
Peacock?
Peacock. You got to watch it on
He's just going to
Peacock.
turn his back to you, and you're going to project it on his back.
On his back, on his ass, on his pulled testicles. You can watch it here and turn off if you don't speak Spanish, but you're forced to watch it on Peacock. We will be trying to do a play-by-play here, and that way you can watch the game and get a play-by-play in English if you don't speak Spanish. And then we will.
Espanol, I'm going to be watching English.
I know. I'll be watching Espanol. I will have to mute it so we can cover it. But also, we will use a clock timer so we can all sync the game together. Because I don't want motherfuckers 30 seconds before the goal scores to be telling us there was a goal scored.
Thank goodness you're not going to have the chat up and everything. I'll see it ahead of time because there'll absolutely be people that'll be like 15 seconds ahead of us.
Yeah. So we'll try to set a clock so we can all sync the game together so we can all watch it at the same time. That's the plan.
The delay in the chat might actually sync up with us properly.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
True, yeah.
We'll see. All right. Thank you all. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you like. It helps us against the tyranny that is YouTube. And we'll see you on Monday, right? We got a show on Monday.
Got a Monday show, yeah.
And then Thursday's the big game. Make sure you say hi to your stepsister for us. Let us know how the coconut smelling Vaseline works. And until the next time on the Straight Red Card, good night.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without.
That hurt. I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm the articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.